The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. From the heart of Broadway and historic downtown Cape Girardeau, this is Pro Wrestling Unscripted.
It's 2020 here on Podzilla 1985, and you're listening to Pro Wrestling Unscripted, the first of the decade. Was that too much?
Oh.
What? It woke me and Allie up.
It did. They were starting to drift away, like
Elias.
Yeah, hey, that's topical. It's 2020. It's 2020, which means we are creeping up on our 5th year doing Podzilla 1985, and it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys for coming back and joining us here on Pro Wrestling Unscripted. I know I'm only going to say this because I had some people reach out to me that I said I wasn't doing any more shows. Well, I am now for as long as I am, and we'll talk about it more in the future. But I had to come back for this especially because I need to talk about Monday night. I need to talk about Liv Morgan. Mm-hmm. I need to talk about these things. Otherwise, we have some news. We got some stuff we're going to talk about. It's the first show of the year. It's the first show of the new decade. It's going to be fantastic. It's the pro wrestling that you love because let's be honest, you've heard other podcasts that do pro wrestling, and most of them are terrible. Not the ones that we know. The ones that we know are awesome.
Yeah, Kevin's great.
Kevin's great. Wrestle Talk is great.
Did that sound sincere?
No.
Oh, it didn't? Okay,
no.
good.
Screw him. What does he need us for? Didn't he won? So we had 2 award shows. We had the Stride Awards and we had the CCW Awards.
Yeah. And
Kevin won, I think, was it Tag Team of the Year or Moment of the Year?
I think he got Moment of the Year. Yeah, because Tag Team was Sin City Saints.
That's right, with Tony Flood and Jay Spade.
Yeah.
So it was Kevin and Heath winning the tag titles, and they won Moment of the Year, which very cool. Congratulations, Kevin. Good friend of the show. Heath as well.
Yeah, all joking aside, I am, because I love Kevin to death, I am very bummed out I wasn't at that show.
Yeah,
because that was at the Miners Field because I was at work. Well, yeah, I had work that night, so I wasn't able to be there, and I actually really wanted to see that. And yeah, Kevin for honestly, he has one of my favorite matches of the year, like in indie wrestling that I got to see. He was in a 6-man 2 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, and I think I mentioned it on this show, but he powerbombed the soul out of a young man, and it was the greatest thing ever. Yeah. But for the sake of argument, yeah, my 1, 2, 3 cents.
Yeah, it's gone downhill a lot.
Jesus,
I 100% kid. Kevin's show is fantastic.
It is.
Also, Wrestle Talk is fantastic.
Yep.
We got a lot of great talented friends. Our good friend Caleb Carter from CCW is all things looking like he's going to create his own podcast dealing with wrestling, and I'm excited for that.
He live in Cape.
4 sides.
4 sides wrestling. Yeah, Caleb.
Oh, competition. Don't like it.
No. It'll be a fine merger. Don't worry when he buys us out. But this is Pro Wrestling Unscripted. My name is Shannon Young. I'm hosting tonight. With me, of course, are the gang. Asa Gray's a 5-star man.
All 5.
Allie Hebert, who last night I saw her laugh literally so hard that she cried.
I did.
Her face was as red as the tablecloth here, and she couldn't breathe. She was laughing so hard, and it was just a simple joke that Ethan did, where we were playing this game that she got for Christmas, and Ethan is
Was it code names?
Code names.
Yes.
Okay. Ethan is. I had been making this joke all night, where every time we didn't use the timer. You're supposed to use a timer, but because we were new, we didn't. And every time someone would think too long, I would flip it, and I thought that was funny, right? So Ethan, at one point, he's trying to actively psych out an opponent.
No,
it was his own person.
It was his own team. So Shannon was trying to psych out Ethan.
Yeah.
But because it's Ethan, they're just joking around with each other and just kind of laughing at each other. And he kind of does the kind of sigh whenever you kind of stop laughing. And so he just goes, he's joking around and he just goes, okay, I'll help. And he turns the timer over. He hasn't helped anything.
Yeah.
He was just probably distracting Lindsay and then just is I'll help.
And she, we all chuckled, and I looked over at Allie. She's got tears streaming down her face. Her face is beat red. She can't breathe. She's doing this because she can't
trying to fan
breathe,
herself.
and she's crying.
It was so funny.
It was, and I was so happy for Ethan. He always wants to be funny, and he almost killed you this night. We also got the Big D, Dalton Anthony.
Yo,
let's jump into 2020. First off,
don't we have big breaking news of the world of a cane tonight?
We do.
Yeah,
it's.
I'm sorry. The world of what?
I don't know how to say it.
Did you say a cane?
You
Yeah.
said a cane.
Yeah, I don't know how to say
Are you talking about Kane the wrestler? It's a cane.
it. Was it Akane?
I mean, that's why I love the
I'm
game.
helping you, Shannon.
Akane. I think.
All right.
We actually don't even know if that's true.
Yeah.
But that's what we're doing.
But what's
Akane.
the news?
Well, I beat Ace's score.
On your profile
On
that
my
I
profile.
had set weeks ago, months ago.
and just so
A
everyone,
decade
It was
ago.
last decade. No, it's not a decade ago. That's not how
Last
the joke works.
decade.
I would like to make an announcement. This is a very news-heavy show because fuck you, you ain't leaving. I quit PZ85.
it is important to note that I had to beat Ace's score because every time I'd play, no matter how good I was, his score would loom over me.
Did he have it as Asa or did he have it as?
No,
Yeah,
it doesn't.
people
It doesn't
did.
have a name. He just knew.
I knew every time
He
I
just
saw
knew
his score.
that wasn't his.
And then I read about other people who play. They're like, yeah, my third time playing, I like 952. I was like, oh, go fuck yourself. Anyway,
All right,
You're on
sorry.
the Akane message boards.
I'm gonna
Going
post
for some
all the.
tips and tricks.
I'm gonna put it on Reddit tonight. Just like I beat him. So
I'll go upvote it. Don't worry.
we got some news stories here, and you mentioned also like a 2019 thing, and like I want to make sure. What are you talking about?
Okay, so like the last couple years, we've done like
Our favorites?
our best of. Like
Yeah,
we did
yeah,
the,
okay.
but then last year it was less a debate to name a singular one. It was more of just we brought what we wanted, what we thought our winner of that topic was, and then we just kind of discuss why we liked that
Right.
and why it was for us.
Okay.
And I like that because it takes away from me just talking until you guys get sick
Give
of me
up
talking
and so you
give
win.
up and let me win.
She did that a couple times too.
Yeah.
I think the worst one was Dalton. He was the only one that we just kind of gave him one. We're just like, all right, fine, it's Young Bucks.
So I figured we could do something like that for 2019, but also then just look at the 2010s as a decade.
Yeah,
Because I made like a list of
Good.
of like noteworthy things
good. Because
that
I was
happened
thinking,
this decade.
I'm trying to think in my head like what did happen this decade.
I've got a handful we can go over, and then if you do think of something, we can just like
Well, like the
add
one
to
that
it.
sticks out is the one I watched earlier today. Is like I can't believe it's only been like what 6 years since Pump did his pipe bomb
Yeah,
promo.
like that's on there.
Oh,
Holy-
longer than
I have that
that
on there.
I mean,
I-
it was in the
It was
2010s.
yeah, it was
but
this decade.
but it was like 2012.
I started watching wrestling this past decade.
She did.
True. Yeah.
She did with Jordan. Jordan made you watch it, right?
Yeah, I mean it was also you guys.
Well, I mean,
I wasn't in the picture
Because it was
yet.
here.
I think you were because we didn't really watch pay per views till you came around.
No,
you
it
guys
was before.
definitely
It was
were, yeah.
before him.
It was
because
around.
because that's when we
Because-
met. Because it was.
Oh, yeah, we invited you to it.
You invited
then
me
I was
to wrestle. It was WrestleMania, I think.
Yeah.
was
Then I
one of the
like
first
4
ones.
or 5 months later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's get to the news real quick first, and then we'll talk
And
about
this
the
is
end
in
of
no
the decade
ran-
stuff.
This is in no random order. I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to the news while we were on a break.
So
'cause
can I
figured,
skip around?
Yeah, because I
Okay.
knew we were. I knew we were mostly going to do. We were like this show is mostly going to be like the year end stuff. And
Yeah,
the
it's
decade
a very
stuff.
casual show.
But I figured just the stuff that I thought stood out to me,
Right.
I threw on the list.
And the one that really let's talk about Lars Sullivan.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I want to talk about Lars Sullivan for a second because I am so conflicted on this. And here's what's going on. You remember Lars Sullivan? He was a big dumb gorilla that they were pushing. I never liked him. First off, so for me to defend him, as I will probably do here, I never liked Lars Sullivan. I didn't like the things he said. I didn't like him as a character. Like there was no part of me that was a fan of Lars Sullivan.
He was Vanilla Monster with
Yeah.
really nothing like.
When you
and-
say the things he said, you're talking about like his forum posts
His forum
that he got
posts.
that were brought
Yeah.
up. Okay.
But like just as like a wrestling character, it's fine if you didn't like him because there really wasn't a whole lot to grasp onto.
Right.
Like
He was episodes 4 through 7 of Mandalorian. Where
No,
he
because
was
there was
the,
only 6.
he was the monster of the week.
yeah.
He was just very boring to me. Like you said,
yeah.
vanilla. Dalton
Yeah.
said it best. Well, he said some things a little while back that
It was a long time.
on,
It was like 9 years ago.
right, on bodybuilding forums and stuff like that. They got him in a lot of hot water. It was racist. It was homophobic. It was very offensive.
But then it was one of those things where a lot of the people on the roster didn't like outright defend him, but they kind of stepped forward and said, well, but then him coming to the performance center and being around all these new types of people
Opened his eyes.
really opened his eyes
Yeah.
that, oh, these are people.
He apologized.
And he seemed, and he kind of seemed
he
to
paid
be,
a fine.
Yeah,
Which is
they fined
weird.
him. It's like the company he had to pay the company that was already paying him. That was
for something he said before he ever signed with them.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Weird.
But like, it seemed that he was making an effort to be a different person and to be a better person.
Right.
And so I'm not saying that absolves him of any
Right.
responsibility or liability.
But it
or
goes-
anything
human
like
growth,
that.
but
It goes
human
away to
growth,
health.
but people
Yeah.
can grow. And if you are not willing to look at someone, and again, he's not doing this publicly. We are taking this on the word of people who have taken the word of people. Like, it's all conjecture and hearsay. But as a society, we do need to recognize that, like,
People could change.
if there is an honest response and an honest effort,
Yeah.
then why wouldn't you want to encourage that? Why would
Absolutely.
you still want to be shitty to them? Because then that just
Continues
kind of
the cycle.
reinforces, then
Yeah.
it's just like, all right, well, fine. If I can't
That
improve myself, then why would I even try?
Small side rant, very quickly. I feel like that is such a society thing now, and probably forever, but it feels worse now. Maybe I see it more, where people are so quick to just dismiss people who could change that they're just like, well, you did something terrible. Fuck you, you're done. And they kind of just, it's the cancel culture thing, but I don't like that term because it's not this.
Right.
It just reminds me of that because it's that you did something wrong and now you're forever going to be trailed by it.
Yeah.
You can never shake it.
Yeah.
And I always go back to Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
But this is different than Hulk
I
Hogan.
definitely tried to not name him, but he's an example of someone who very much seemed to be a public face. No, I'm apologizing. I'm totally apologizing, but he's not making any sort of effort to actually improve himself or his behavior or his mindset. He's just trying to get the heat off of him.
To be fair, public face could be that. That could be him. Hogan is a public person, but we're not talking about Hogan. I was just saying that because he's an example of somebody who, even though I would argue for sometimes, I agree with you. He did not go through the same channels and make apologies
Like when the New Day,
in private.
when the New Day and Booker T like refused to applaud him at the Hall of Fame,
Right.
that says more to me than him getting teary-eyed and
but they
apologizing.
Did, but they did backtrack on that, didn't they?
Not
Big
really.
E did.
No, Big E was the one that kind of was just like, no, like we will absolutely love to, he was the one that kind of said, like, if he decides that he wants to make an honest effort, we will hear him out.
That's what I mean. Like after the fact, it was a while later that Big
Yeah,
E
but
said
it was-
something positive about him.
He didn't say something positive as much as that if he showed some positivity or he showed growth, they would be open to it. But from what the meeting that he held when he apologized to everyone, he didn't apologize. He said, you need to be careful about what you say when you say it because anything could be recorded.
Which like
It's like Brock Turner giving speeches about getting too drunk at parties.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to look it up. It's fine. Because I feel like there's something with Big E and Hogan, but it's not important. Hogan's not what we're fucking talking about here. I
Yeah.
land on Hogan too much. Fuck Hogan. We'll go back to him in a future show. I'm sure we will.
Guarantee it.
We're talking about Lars Sullivan. What happened with Lars Sullivan over the weekend, I believe, or
Yeah.
maybe it was
Yeah.
a couple days ago for sure, and has this been confirmed?
Yes.
It has been.
Yes.
yeah, it's definitely
It's him.
Okay, so it turns out that Lars Sullivan, before he was a professional wrestler, starred in at least two gay porn videos.
Yes.
All right, in fairness, one gay porn and then a solo video.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
But no, I mean,
I'm not
there
gonna
is
mince
there
words.
is a
That's
difference, and it is also worth noting that this isn't a leak situation like with what happened with like Paige or Ricochet or anything
This
like
is something
that.
he made.
This was something that he was like paid to do.
That's what I mean. This is something he made, like
Yeah.
an actor makes
It was
a movie.
produced.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
produced. This wasn't a private video that got leaked.
Mm-hmm.
This was absolutely a film that he was paid for and performed in.
Yeah.
With that said, a lot of people have been coming out. They've been critical, a lot of jokes being made, and maybe it's a surprising take of mine, but I'm thinking like, leave him alone. Like,
A lot of it is coming from. A lot of it is the like. So you're going to make homophobic, terrible statements online, but then you're going to turn around and do gay for pay.
because like that's the thing that I think is
It's
the reason he's catching hell for it is because of the homophobic remarks,
right.
and it's the whole thing of just like you're gonna say.
I think he would also be like. I don't think the level of backlash would be any different.
But here's the thing. So when
It's just it's a type. It's a different type. It's instead of it being steel, it's poison. Like it's
yeah,
the
but
stats are the same.
I think the level of grief he would have caught for it if the homophobic remarks would have never happened would have good people would have counterbalanced it, being like, "Are you seriously going to be shitty to somebody over this?" But with the homophobic comments, it's like, well,
Oh no, I'm sure he has less people willing to defend
yeah.
him
If
because of that.
it just would have been like he never had all those situations, and then it came out, oh, he did gay
like if
porn
he was
once.
just hurt and then this came up when he was hurt. Yeah.
yeah, and then it would have been like, well, why are you being shitty to him? Where it's just like, oh, that's why you're being shitty to him.
2 points. One, in wrestling and any culture, I think, especially wrestling, because it is such a masculine thing. It's perceived as such a masculine thing. Him doing gay porn, even if he was a saint, would bite him in the ass.
Yeah.
He will never live it down, and it's not something he should have to live down.
Well, I think the big question is, what will Triple H's kids think
When
if they
go
have to
online and
Google
see
him?
it. Well, they have to look up the right name.
Yeah.
That's at least a minor jump. The second thing about that was, and Allie, maybe you can help me with this, how often is it that the people that make homophobic remarks, that especially have that kind of venom, a lot of the times are closeted homosexuals or are people who are bisexual or who don't know what they are, and they're lashing out because they want to pretend.
It is fairly common that if you grow up in a environment that tells you that homosexuality is wrong and you have those feelings, you will project that onto other people to make yourself feel
Normal.
less guilty of it. And that can be a hard thing to break, but you're also he did it for a job. Like, he took money from someone to do this.
Well, yeah.
So that's putting it out there in a way that you probably wouldn't if you had that in you.
Like if it versus a private experience.
Yeah, if this was something that got leaked and it was like, okay, so he's projecting this because this is something
there's a whole bunch of backstory we don't know. Lars
There
Sullivan
is.
himself, because we don't know his history, don't know his personality or his private life. He may be bisexual. He may have had feelings. This may have been something he jumped into because he thought he could do it. You know what I mean? Just because it was gay for pay doesn't necessarily mean that it was, because I don't know from experience personally, but if I were because he's never started in a porn before. It's not like he was a porn actor that just decided to take a gay for pay job.
Yeah.
He was just, as far as we could tell, some guy. And usually some guy isn't talked into doing gay porn just for $100, $200. That is a huge jump. And maybe I'm wrong about that. I can't speak to it.
I don't know
like
enough about
like
the
you're
porn
also
pay
saying
scale.
is we don't know a lot about his history. We
Right.
don't know what struggle he
It
was
goes
in
back
at
to
that time.
that-
Yeah, like there's a whole picture and we have a piece of it, like Dalton likes
because
to say.
if somebody came up to me and said, here's $300, would you do gay sex on film? If I had no interest in men at all, when I wasn't in the pornographic industry, there's very little chance I would do that. You know what I mean?
That number's going to be higher.
That number's going to have to be higher, or I'm going to have to see the guy first. And if I walked
Leonardo
in,
DiCaprio.
if it walked in, it was Lars Sullivan, I would decline. Because I just don't find the man attractive. But whatever. I just think it's such a shitty situation. It's made some great jokes, but I also feel bad about laughing at those jokes.
I saw I was on Twitter and I was scrolling through and I saw Lars Sullivan was trending and I'm like, why?
What do you say
Well,
now?
I was just like, why? So then everything that I saw was just reaction gifs and memes of the internet when they see why Lars Sullivan is trending. I wanted to see why Lars Sullivan was trending. It's like, okay, you're making him trending because you're just making that same joke over and over. What's the initial cause? It's that same thing with the porn ones that the porn bots got through because they didn't get deleted fast enough.
Oh,
It's like facials and forced anal or something were the top trending topics on Twitter in the morning one day because it was just a bunch of sex bots
Typing
posting spam, and then people noticed it and they were just like, why is this because I did the same thing because I'm a hack, fuck you. It was that, and so I was like, it took me a solid 3 minutes of searching around trying to figure
what
out
the hell was the
what
point?
the hell's going on, and then I saw the first comment was just like, I logged on to see why Lars Sullivan was trending, not to see a dude go down on him. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And that's when and then it was just like, okay, no, and people had links to Pornhub and because those videos are still out there.
Right.
And again, and they are, I don't know how professional, because I didn't look at any of them. I saw one screenshot of the before, they're still clothed and everything. And it's okay, well, that's definitely him.
Yeah, so one of my favorite joke was, and I can't remember exactly, but it was just my reaction to it was basically the same dialogue from, I was like, well, I'm having a great time so far. Let's see where it goes or something like that. Let's say it was Daniel Bryan. Mm-hmm. And he obviously hasn't, as far as we know. Mm-hmm. But if Daniel Bryan, they suddenly uncovered that he did a gay porn before he was a star, and Daniel Bryan's a saint. Everyone loves Daniel Bryan. Mm-hmm. Would he not get the same backlash that Lars Sullivan is? I think he absolutely would.
No,
I don't think he would.
People love squalor. They
But
like
here's
to
the thing.
fuck with other people.
It goes back to my initial point of, I think if it was literally just Lars Sullivan never made those comments, and it was just like, oh, he did a gay porn. You're like, that's like you're gonna catch your regular like
I
homophobic
think
jokes, but
Right.
that I think people would probably honestly be more, and it wouldn't be really the internet crowd. It would be like if somehow the older crowd got a hold of it. And
I think it would be the internet crowd.
I think it would be the internet.
Because I think you're right to a point that I do think that he would get the same level of that. Like if going to Lars Sullivan, you're thinking about Lars Sullivan. If those posts had never come to light, if he'd never said those things, if he was just another NXT guy up on the main roster and then is out with an injury, I think the level of hate he's getting now would be the same. I just think that he would have more people defending him.
yeah,
Right.
Whereas
with that.
it's essentially just people dunking on him right now.
I guess that's kind of what I was getting at, but I didn't.
So I think
Word
the
it.
level, like I think he would be receiving it as much. There would just be more people on his side.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Daniel Bryan would be an entirely different animal because he is he is of the highest profiles right now. And like in general, like he's one of the biggest names that WWE has. Whereas Lars Sullivan, if they decide to let him go over this, or if they just bench him for, the next year, what's going to change?
I legitimately feel bad for Lars Sullivan.
No, I do too, because
really
this
do.
is something that like, whether or not I'm not going to speak to the kind of person he is or what his beliefs are or anything like that, because I don't know what they are. But like, to be shamed over something like this is so juvenile. Like I would like to think that, which again, I'm a very sex positive person. Like I think porn's fine. Like I have absolutely zero issue with the people who work in it and the people who view it. Like as long as you're doing it in a
Safe.
responsible, private manner, like don't be blaring it on a bus or something, or like in a public place. But like, I'm fine with that. I'm like, I clearly don't have a problem with gay people. I don't have a problem with gay sex. Like it's all right, whatever. Like it's not me. I'm not going to have gay sex. Knock yourselves out. That's fine.
I've been very open about my sexuality, I think, with my friends. And like, I don't know what the proper term for it is. I like women, but men that look like women but are still men don't bother me. I would have no problem. I don't know. I don't know what I am.
But so just real quick, just to get to my initial point, like,
oh, you had more. I am so sorry.
No, you're fine.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
I
with the
started
traps.
rambling, and it's fine. I need to be cut off and reined in every once in a while. Like, I don't have a problem with like him doing porn at all. Like, it's like because it's early. Like, it's the joke. Like, it's the go-to. I was young and naive and needed the money. Like, whatever. But like,
it shouldn't affect his wrestling
like,
career.
yeah, I don't like. There is a stigma among like established porn stars. That like, Sasha Grey still like she tried to make the transition from porn actress to like mainstream actress, and like she had that scarlet letter
right
like on her.
I mean,
so
can you name a porn actor or actress that has hit the mainstream that didn't involve their porn?
Right.
Because I can think like Ron Jeremy is kind of an icon,
but he's only an icon because he makes cameos as the guy from porn.
right?
Yeah.
Jenna Jameson was probably the closest, I think, to transitioning into a mainstream career. I remember in the late '90s and early 2000s, she was actually pretty common. She was in movies, but it went nowhere.
But when you're in a movie called Zombie Strippers,
Sasha Grey is a great example because she's been in legit films. We saw her in what was that movie we watched? The one where Would You Rather? She was in Would You Rather, which I thoroughly enjoyed. She's a half decent actress. She was in Open Window, I think it was called. A lot of good stuff. But yeah, it's such a stigma of you did adult stuff,
Right.
and it will forever haunt you.
And now there's this extra stigma of it being a gay porn. It's not just he was in a porn, because that in itself would be its own news story and its own news cycle. But now there is still this like idea that it's different,
right?
Because it is gay porn.
It's if he had made a porn where he was slamming some blonde porn star, people would have posted it and kind of laughed about it, but they would have also been like, "Wow, he's giving it to her," etc., etc. The fact that it's him and another dude, everyone of every age,
they're making their shitty jokes.
Yeah, they suddenly turn into 11 or 12 year old.
The people who are making fun, who are nailing him to the wall for making racist, homophobic remarks, are making homophobic jokes,
right? Because they think it's karma,
right?
Because they think that
different.
you got yours, you know.
I feel bad for him in this. I'm curious if anything is ever like officially addressed.
They can't. So I'm thinking like they can't fire him. They absolutely cannot fire him. Like,
so
they can for any reason.
So they can, over this because I don't know what a WWE contract looks like. None of us do, but I have signed contracts with places where there's a morality clause, and which
is fucking weird.
You're right, it is. But like basically, like I'm supposed to be a role model at all times, and like something comes up from the past, that could bite me in the tail.
Which is why Dalton was off the show for a while.
Yeah, and then I realized I don't care. But like WWE could be like, you didn't tell us. This could be a variation of the Enzo thing before, where it's like, dude, you could have told us, and that way, if it ever came out, we would know. We got blindsided with it. You are now a liability. Whereas opposed to like, you could not fire Xavier Wood or Paige because that was a leak. That was a private thing that someone hacked into it, that you are blaming the victim at that point. Whereas the Lars Sullivan thing, like, he is being victimized now. He is not a victim in, somebody found this porn that he was in. That was produced. Whereas the Paige thing, somebody went out of their way. Like, this just got discovered.
And there is a precedent for this. Can you tell me another wrestling superstar that was fired after their porn career was discovered?
Tell me company.
WCW.
Was
Sonny?
it Major Guns?
No, that's a pretty good one, but I think she did porn after wrestling.
Oh.
You said Sonny?
Yeah.
Also after
That
wrestling.
was after, yeah.
Time. Wait a minute.
Allie flip it.
Male or female?
Female.
Oh, okay. Shit. I don't know.
Chastity.
I couldn't tell you who that is.
She was in Raven's Flock or maybe she was a Sandman. Whatever it was, she was in WCW for about 2 weeks. She was from ECW, and she went to WCW.
Oh, yeah, see, ECW didn't give a shit.
And then they found out she had done a porn, and they dropped her like a sack of potatoes.
Well, that was because it was Turner Broadcasting. They probably didn't really want that stigma.
Still sucks, though, because, like...
Oh, no, it's...
Well,
like,
and that's the thing
And
is-
I'm not... by the way, what I just described that they can fire Lars Sullivan, I don't think they should.
No, I don't think they should.
Yeah, like, I don't agree. Like, if they fire him, I will be... I won't care, but, like...
We're talking about a dude that literally left WWE for months because of panic attacks and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck is he going through now?
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
I hope him as a person... Like, I want him as a person to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, I care about the human being right now.
I am also curious if WWE knew about it. Like if they thought that, or like if he made them aware, or something like that.
Yeah.
And do you think
it was
he
under
should?
because it was under a different name. It wasn't his real name. It clearly wasn't Lars Sullivan. Like there was a different name he used.
Holy shit, what if he had picked the same name? Like, this other name I used to use.
No, because at that point... All right.
Did you do wrestling
They look
before?
at his FCW.
In
They
a
look at
way.
his FCW application, and it's that name.
Yeah. So, don't like this joke. But if he would have picked Lars Sullivan and WWE's like, we're thinking Lars Sullivan, I'd have been like, I think you should pick any other name at that. Literally any other name.
I told Bob the story about all this, and his reaction was of the SNL skit, the Marco Pumpgood, where a fan sees Lars Sullivan go like, where do I know you from? I feel like I see you all the time. So yeah, I feel bad for Lars Sullivan, I really do, and I hope that he does. I hope he pulls through this, and I don't even like Lars Sullivan.
Right.
Again, like,
But this is a
But no,
person
you
it's
can-
a human thing
Because you're an actual adult with rational brain, and you can
try.
separate the fact that I don't appreciate this person as a performer does not translate to this person as a human being is garbage and I hate him.
he put his penis in a guy's mouth.
All right, Twitter.
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It's disgusting, and the people,
The Twitter, the
people,
reaction.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Okay,
easy
thank
there.
you. Thank you. So we'll see where this goes, and I hope it goes well. I
Well,
really
with
do.
the save of the decade,
Just when
went
you
to-
thought 2019 couldn't get any wilder.
So I just read a story on Kotaku about the first, like, I forget the exact of it, but it's like the first female that ever competed in the League of Legends championships passed away a couple days ago at 24, and she was also trans. And the people that were posting on the story, it's a sad story, right?
Yeah.
The people that are posting on it were literally saying, the first comment was, it was from the moderator, if you are shitty, we will delete your comment. This is your only warning. And the rest of the post was simply, can you guys please do something about Facebook? It's a fucking cesspool over there. To the point that I went to go to Facebook to see what
Don't
the
go to the
comments were.
comments.
They deleted the whole post
Good.
because it was so bad. People are so shitty that they were mocking this trans 24-year-old for dying. Holy shit, what is wrong with people?
Yeah,
I can't fucking believe how terrible people are.
Anonymity on the internet was a mistake.
Do you remember when Blizzard and we'll go to the next promise, when Blizzard tried to introduce that thing where your BattleNet was your name?
Yeah.
And everybody shot it down because they're like, please no, we don't want people to be able to like track me down for saying the shitty things that I do online.
Well, and it's not even that, like, because good. Like,
It's kind of that.
it's more of the like, oh, Shannon Young just killed me 3 times in a game.
I'm going to track him down.
I'm going to find him and try to ruin his
Swat
life.
him. We'll
Yeah,
swat him.
exactly.
People don't want to be known online. That is for damn sure. That is why I go by a fake name. Shannon Young's not actually how I spell my name.
It's not your real name at all.
It's not my real name at all. All right, let's go on with other news stories, and we'll keep you updated on that. Next up, let's talk about Xavier Woods, because I don't know what this is. Xavier Woods' GM game won't be licensed. He has a game coming out?
So he has been working on... he's talked about it a couple times. Like, nothing's truly been announced yet. But he's working on a mobile game that is GM mode. Because 2K clearly has given up on making an actual video game.
On making games.
Did you guys see the newest thing from today?
The 2K20 bug?
Yeah.
The Y2K20 bug?
Yeah, where the game is unplayable if it reads that the year is 2020, the game modes just don't work.
You know, I will.
So you have to you have to change your date and then change it back for it to reactivate. Otherwise, you can't do creation suites, you can't do story.
Anything online,
the second
even single player won't load properly.
Yeah,
apparently.
the second I get home tonight, because the show will be posted right whenever I get home, I will put it in my Xbox and my PS4 to figure out if it's fixed or not, and I'll comment in the thread.
So
the fact that it's even a thing, though,
it's
Christ,
like this
2K.
is insane.
It's like Frank. It's Frank in that episode where Mac and Charlie pitch a movie to him, and Frank's like, "Get your shit together."
But so with his series with Tyler Breeze, the GM mode, which is amazing, and I love it. And I can't wait for the next season to come out. There's been a bigger and bigger outcry for GM mode to come back to the WWE games.
That was a fun mode.
It hasn't been happening. It's not going to happen. So he has. My hands are flaking so bad. I'm sorry.
You're good.
They just need to get chopped off. He's taken it upon himself to make a general manager mode style game, but it's going to be a mobile game. He posted the other day in an update that like this thing that he's working on, WWE has decided they will not license it. So this game that he's making won't be able to use actual WWE names and characters.
Wouldn't it be just the best
if Kenny Omega
like
steps in and being
was just like, hey, do you need IPs?
You can use ours.
Yeah.
I think if he doesn't do a licensed game, that could be actually the best thing for it, because like I get tired of WWE. I've always been like I don't understand why no one has ever tried to put out a wrestling game that wasn't officially licensed, because one of my favorite wrestling games of all time was not officially licensed, and that was the Def Jam series. Like, it was licensed by musicians.
Yeah, but not
never wrestlers.
But you still had people that you knew and people that you liked.
That's true, but I think what I mean more is that you can make a good wrestling game that's not based on wrestlers, you know?
I mean, you can make a good gameplay game, but are you going to connect with the characters? Like, I'm sure you will find one that you actually like, but why would you...
Ice-T.
Why would you be doing a... Like, if I was down to download this GM mode game, there's a Monday show, there's a Friday show. Why do I care which person goes where if it's not The Undertaker and John Cena and Randy Orton and AJ Styles?
Yeah.
Why? Because other than the numbers that are like, okay, yeah, this character design that they've made looks cool. I like this guy. Like, why I like Kane?
Yeah,
because he just looks awesome.
I was gonna say, I would argue that it depends on how much the developers put into the characters to make you care about them.
Yeah,
there's a reason that we attach ourselves to new characters that get created all the time. Otherwise it would just be Mario till the end of time. But there have been a lot of characters. Kratos from God of War, Nathan Drake from Uncharted, probably others. Master Chief when he takes his helmet off, but he has another helmet.
You get one of those per game.
That's true. So he's going to have to make a game full of them.
You need a game full of these memorable...
I didn't want to bring this game up, but I will. You forced me to. I like Rumble Roses. Yeah. And that's a game that, how we said we're sex positive and all that? Mm-hmm. I can't announce that out in public still without feeling a little bit of shame. Yeah. It's not a porn game, Allie. It's a very perverted-ish wrestling game.
Mm-hmm. You know the line of porn? It's right here.
It's softcore.
You've played worse games.
I have?
And worse, I mean, like
the actual sex games.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know why.
Games, more than one.
Because they disguised this one as a real wrestling game. And it wasn't bad.
It's essentially Dead or Alive beach volleyball. It's Dead or Alive, but wrestling instead of a fighting game.
And I liked it. And I liked some of the characters that they had in it. They had cool models. If you're a Rumble Roses fan, by the way, and you're listening, Noble Rose was my absolute favorite. Anyway, I think they could do a game like that. It just depends on how much time and effort.
If it was going to be, if it was going to be licensed, what would be an amazing license for them to get? Ultimate Muscle.
They already made those games though.
No, but like as a general
But a
manager.
general
Oh,
manager,
okay.
yeah.
Because
Well,
I had-
not
I-
for me though, because I don't give a shit about Ultimate Muscle.
For me, it would be cool. Yeah, but if it did, if this would be me being excited if it was Rumble Roses.
You broke him for a
Just
second.
for a second. Just for a second.
It's the Rumble Roses GM mode. Cool. Shannon's on board. I don't care.
There better be a lot of pictures.
Ultimate Muscle. Shannon doesn't care. Ace is
If
on
there's
board.
not pictures on Rumble Roses, I don't want to play it.
See, and that's the thing. It's like I know you're making that joke,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like if Rumble Roses was not a scantily clad women in mud wrestling matches, because there was an actual mud wrestling mode in that.
Yeah,
I think there was.
there was.
No, there was. I'm
And the submission moves would be like, you would grab her and then you would like open her legs up and she would be like, ah, oh.
yeah.
And
so
mom
if like
would come in the room and go, what are
if
you
the-
watching?
if that wasn't part of it, if
Like,
this
Mom,
was
I'm
just
32.
a bunch of random guys like wrestling, would you have cared as much? Would you have given it, other than it being a wrestling game? Like I'm sure you would have tried it, but do you think you would have attached it if it was just a bunch of?
I think the best example I can give to answer that would be there is a game on iOS now that Wrestling with Regret promotes a lot. And Dalton, I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. I think it's retro or 80s wrestling or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's. I'll get the exact. I had it downloaded, but what happened was I downloaded it because Wells told me I would love it.
Mm-hmm.
I played 20 minutes of it, and then I never
Because
started it.
it's
again.
basically a GM mode game.
Yeah.
With cards and stuff. And I lost interest in it because and they had characters that were based on like celebrities. Like you had the fake Terminator and stuff like that. And I was just like, I'm not interested. But I'm also not interested in playing another WWE game. So I'm very conflicted.
It would be so funny if Xavier Woods got the AEW license.
Never happened in a million years because Vince McMahon probably wouldn't even know about it. Never mind. To be
80s
fair.
Mania Wrestling returns.
Yeah. And that's a cool game.
It's cool. It
Didn't
just
care.
wasn't for me. Yeah.
Right. But we'll see where it goes. And I'm actually very excited about this. I will play it just to give it a try. I'll see how it goes. Because there needs to be more space in the wrestling video game world than just WWE.
Oh, speaking of which, Retrosoft Studios,
They got a poll going, don't they?
yeah. So what they're doing a thing called Indie Mania right now. This is the same people that are doing the Retro Mania game with like a couple of the old NWA guys and like John Morrison and all them. It's Indie Mania. They have like a whole bunch of brackets. They said they're going to put one independent wrestler in the game. You guys get a vote on them.
I saw Gregory Iron post.
Gregory Irons on it,
Mhm.
and I was super stoked for that. Then I saw Warhorse on it, and then I got really sad because I have to vote for one of them. The one that's gonna win and it's gonna piss me off is gonna be Simon Miller for What Culture. He's probably gonna win it.
I like Simon Miller,
I
though.
know, I do. I love Simon Miller, but
He gets an up.
well, yeah, no, he's great. Like he's the only one on that channel that doesn't make me want to like punch a baby.
Yep.
But
He's right.
yeah, but like Gregory Irons should be it or Warhorse. Like honestly, if you were like out of all 32, who would you want?
Jackson Crowley.
I saw
No, out of the ones they've picked, that'd be cool though.
I saw Gregory Iron post about it because he was talking about like being the only, like he would be like the first handicapped person represented in a wrestling game, and then a lot of people were like, which one? It's one of the Von Erichs.
Carey.
Yeah, he's like, oh, Kerry Von Erich was in a wrestling game. He's like, yes, but he was not handicapped in the game.
Yeah.
Like he was just
They
was just
also
Kerry
never
Von Erich.
played up to the fact that he didn't have a foot.
Yeah,
like
like
he just
they-
wrestled without a foot.
Yeah,
And no
so-
one knew.
Yeah, because he wore boots.
He was that good at it.
But he was like, if I could be in this game with his actual like with the arm that's
Disability, yeah.
affected with the disability, like that would be kind of a big first
That-
step, and I think
could
that would be cool.
inspirational as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, vote for
Also,
Gregory
I think
Iron.
like
Good friend
Shane.
of ours.
There's like a lot of people that I
Is
don't.
it Shannon Moore?
No, Shane Mercer. He's from GCW. I like him a lot too. There's a couple of people that'd be like, give us more than one. Like
What
you
about
have
Nick fucking Gage?
that would be cool. I wouldn't be upset about that at all.
What about the Invisible Man?
That'd
Oh.
be funny. All it was a shadow, just like
Yeah.
the shadow moving underneath it.
Yeah. Oh, that would be good.
That
See,
sounds
that's
like a good. That sounds like a good end game boss. You have to fight the Invisible Man. You can't see him. It'd be like Reptile from Mortal Kombat.
Retro Anthony Green's also one of them. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool ones that is just like,
He'd
I
be a
hope.
good fit too.
Yeah, RJ City is also in it. There's so many people that I'm like,
Zack Ryder soon.
He was in a Twitter feud with Mario Cantone that ended with with Mario Cantone on his RJ Cities in his underwear making coffee.
yeah. That's why RJ City is just awesome. But yeah, there's so many people that I'm just like, dude, people are gonna buy your game if
Maybe.
Remind-
I'll see how it
no.
goes.
I think if they were like, you know what, we're gonna put one person from each of these brackets.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's
That'd
like
be very cool.
Warhorse is going to be in it. You have like a small group of about 30 to 40 people in St. Louis that'll definitely buy the game just because Warhorse
Yeah,
is in
but
it.
you're also talking about then you have licensing issues. You have to pay fees to these wrestlers for using their likeness. Who knows how much
I'm willing to
that's gonna
bet that
be.
those contracts are just, I will give you a flat X amount of dollars.
Like,
to
I'm
use
sure
you
it's
in
like
the
a
game.
Legends contract.
Yeah.
Remember, WWE's Legend contract is legitimately like only $5,000 a year, and if somebody signs up for that, they can be put on a video game for $5,000 a year.
Yeah, but
And
they get royalties, right?
I'm sure they. Yeah, there's 200 people on that roster. I'm sure they
Unions are
all get
bad.
paid the same.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Killer Cross.
Yeah, he's
Because-
finally granted his release from Impact.
Freedom at last.
And
Where
he's-
does he go?
Uh,
WWE. Scarlett Bordeaux's there.
There's a lot of people who want him to go to NXT. One of the guys who I read like recaps and stuff of wrestling in NXT, he desperately wants him to be the Bad Luck Fale to heal Devitt or to heal Finn Balor.
Yeah.
I legitimately almost forgot Finn Balor's name for a second there. We haven't done this show in a while. Leave me alone.
It's been a while.
Because they keep talking about, because every time they refer to him, anytime they talk about Killer Cross, they call him Finn Balor in the article because that's his name now.
Right.
But they always say like when Prince Devitt turned and got Bad Luck Fale as his heavy, then Killer Cross could fill that role really well. And it's like, I don't necessarily want him to go to NXT because I think he could kind of get lost in the shuffle there.
Right.
Because I do think there's something truly special about Cross, and I feel like he would do better standing out somewhere, like maybe an NWA. Is where I would personally like to see him go.
More so than AEW.
Yeah,
Another shuffle.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because AEW is still really trying to find its footing. It feels like with
Yes.
who they are trying to establish as their main guys.
Right.
And so, like, he would get spotlight for a couple weeks and then maybe kind of disappear for a minute.
We
Like,
didn't
and NXT does the same thing because, like, did I miss something? Where's Velveteen Dream?
Isn't he injured?
Have they deemed him unfit for, like, USA Network or something? Because, like,
I think he's injured.
is he? Like, I must have
Because he
missed
was
that.
on. He's been on USA
I
before.
thought I saw him on there before. He was in a match against wasn't he
Roddy.
fought- Yeah.
Yeah, he lost the belt to Roddy. But also, I only know that because he wore a hideous outfit on USA, and then they decided, like, at the same time, they were like, we're making this elite, and it's the same thing, and it's the ugliest figure that Mattel made of last year. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very posh.
It's very dumb.
Jolly good time.
Yeah, and then people are like, I want this Velveteen Dream. We're like, they already made the perfect one like 5 waves ago. It's cheap. Go buy it. I also have a figure of 2019. I know that I'm going to be the only person to do that one for that, but I got it.
We didn't even talk about, and we're not going to talk about it because we don't have a lot of time. We didn't get a chance because we were off. Get a chance to talk about like the Young Bucks leaving Twitter and that whole debacle, or the AEW moment with the guy punching ground slowly that lit the internet on fire. Because that's
Are you talking about the Dark Order guy?
Yeah, that's what caused the Bucks to quit Twitter because they were getting so much shit apparently because they're running the tag division, and people were like, "Well, this was just terrible, and it's clearly your fault, and you guys are terrible." Because yeah. So we didn't.
I
get a chance
feel
to talk about that.
I feel like if you're getting onto the Bucks because, and I don't know, I can't say that the Dark Order's extra talent, but if it is, and it's just like, well, that one guy doesn't throw a punch properly.
No
Be
one
like,
knows who it is.
So
no
no one-
one's taking responsibility.
Good.
Apparently, so it's apparently someone who used to work with WWE, and like, because there's been all this speculation. The story that I have seen is that it was and whether or not this has been debunked or true or not, this is just something that I saw that is my understanding of it. And if I am incorrect, I would like someone to point that out because I don't like saying wrong things.
Kevin, help us out.
Yeah, but this is someone who knew that the camera was not on him from that, because that was a fan video. That wasn't on TV. No one at home
Important to
saw
note,
that.
yeah.
This was someone in the crowd filming live.
Yeah.
The camera, he saw that the camera was on the other side of where his fists were landing, and he saw that that Dustin was already bleeding. So he didn't want to like actually lay into a dude who's already cut.
Yeah.
So he was throwing the rough punches because he knew it was on the other side. Like the camera was on the
So
other
all
side.
you
This
need to
was
see is
just
your hand go back and
yeah.
go
This
down.
is just a fan video showing that. This is just a fan video showing like the magicians.
The missed punches.
Yeah.
God.
This would be like if a stagehand was filming behind Chris Angel, behind the curtain, and you see the platform.
You see the joke. You
That
see the
is-
actual trick.
That actually is one of my like biggest fears. Like at a show, if I bump early or if I go somebody a little bit,
The
and then
fan
somebody catches it, just like that foot didn't even get close, and I'm like, that's my biggest fear.
And then whenever someone pointed that out, like as this, hey, I talked to the person and this is what they said it was. Versus then you get all right, well, this is an example of that old school mentality of literally everything you do needs to connect. Everything you do needs to look legit.
Yeah.
Just in case.
You should not be working for the camera. You should be working for
the crowd.
Everybody there.
Which, if
the
you're on TV, is different.
Which, I mean, it's all different, but at the same time, like, if you were sitting front row and you see those punches landing, but they're doing that for the camera, like, I think there is an argument to be made there. But that said, I'm never going to criticize someone for taking care of their opponent.
Yeah,
in
for
the ring.
protecting.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's been my stance over the last, like, few months. I feel like I've leaned pretty hard into that of, like, no, don't wrestle through an injury. Like, take care of yourself. You are more important. You are more important than the show.
And granted, like, in a match or something like that with punches, like, there's always a safe way to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's what that guy did.
Oh, yeah, that's my totally uninformed, untrained opinion. But...
Yeah, like, there's always a safe way to do... 95% of the time, there's a safe way to do something. Mm-hmm. That guy chose at that point that was the safe option. Mm-hmm. Dustin didn't get more hurt, so at the end of the day, he's fine in my opinion. He didn't hurt the guy. Mm-hmm. He was... And in the TV world, nobody saw that.
Yeah.
And you're playing to a crowd, and the people that are that far away, like that person was like what, front row, I'm assuming, or front,
I have no idea.
No,
but
I don't think it was front row, but it was
close.
zoomed in.
Like if you're up in the nosebleeds, like I was at Survivor Series, if somebody ghosted or something like that, I couldn't tell because of how far away I am. If like the first like 30 people that paid $500 for a seat, just like, well, he's not really hitting them. You know what you're paying? Like you're going to a wrestling show, like. Somebody, I was in a locker room and one guy summed it up perfectly, is 95% of the people out there that are watching us know what this is. So why are we actually going to try to kill each other?
Yeah, but I don't want to criticize the guy too much because, I've never been in that position. None of us have been in that position.
No, I've never, no.
That was a specific thing.
Yeah.
But like, you could say, well, he could have choked him. As if he was bleeding, he could have fake choked him and it would have looked better.
Yeah.
You don't want to, even though everyone knows that it's scripted, you don't want to ruin the immersion. So like, if you were filming a fight scene, if you had a live fight scene and these are the people that are on camera for the live show, but then the other people are just standing around waiting for their turn and there's a live crowd, that's not going to work because they want to be involved. They want to think it's real.
Yeah.
But whatever. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it's shitty that people got shitty about it. My favorite thing about it, though, is that a independent wrestler, did you hear about this, Asa, claimed it. Said, yeah, that was me. Here's what happened. And then other people were like, that was not you. You were at this point because I was there with you. Like, why are you claiming this? Dude tried to take credit for it because he
wanted the discussion to be about him.
And other people called him out and said, no, it was not you. And like, holy shit, that's funny.
I am Spartacus.
That's not a smart move. I was actually the guy that hit Stone Cold with the car. Like,
did you do it for The Rock?
Oh, I did it. Well, I did it for myself. But anyway,
were you old enough to drive back then?
So
I turned 66 next month.
Oh, well, hell.
Was it a fan video or was it the actual show? Was it on the broadcast?
I thought it was on the broadcast. Like,
I have no idea.
When you guys said fan video, I thought it doesn't sound right because.
Okay, no, I think it was. No, it was the broadcast.
Oh, well, that changes a lot of things.
Okay, yeah. So
lay it in.
Because now I'm looking that doesn't sound.
But he might not have known it was. On the
because I
broadcast.
did because I was questioned because I was like, all right, maybe this isn't right. So no, okay, it was on the broadcast. It was okay. So Randy Orton said that he's apparently a seasoned vet, and he assumed the camera on his left. He assumed a different camera was the one that was live. So that's what. So it was Randy Orton who may just be talking out of his ass. Let's just cut this whole segment from the show because I've made a fool of myself.
You have not. You have absolutely not.
I don't like putting false information out there. I need to.
You corrected it. That's what a good journalist does. I do want to point out. I think, and as much as again, I've really lost my taste for the gentleman, but Jim Cornette was talking about the incident because there was criticism for Dustin Rhodes of selling for this guy who was clearly not punching him. And he's like, the mentality is you are assuming the person that you're working is throwing the punches, so you're going to react to them because if you don't react to them, then it's going to look weird.
It's going to look shitty.
So Dustin just did what a professional does. He was selling for the guy. It's just the guy wasn't throwing good punches. But it is what it is.
Which is why, like, me personally, I tell people, like, connect. Don't try to kill me, but connect.
Yeah,
like,
you told that to Justin, and he did.
Yeah,
he followed your orders.
like I tell people to connect. Yeah, and
I told Jackson just go nuts with the chair.
And how'd that elbow feel?
It fucking hurts. Really quick, a couple of things when we get to this main thing. New Japan Pro Wrestling no longer on Axis,
which is a bummer. I mean, I still have New Japan World, but
because Impact bought Axis, and that was always the big question of, all right, well, that's where New Japan is now. Not anymore.
Sadie has a family member that still has it, and they were like, "Oh, I'll give you the info."
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you know? Is it Axis or AXS?
I always called it Axis.
I've always called it Axis.
You know, a band that I always called them
NXS?
Yeah. Oh no, I called them INXS. And then someone told me, you know, that's supposed to be NXS, right? And I was like, holy shit!
And I
Blew
only,
my mind.
I only
get
know,
it.
I only know NXS because they did like a shitty reality game show to like replace somebody.
Really?
I think so. It was like the singer. Like, did the
Oh,
singer
because he
die?
killed himself.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, all right.
I'm gonna cut that segment from the show.
No, like, well, no, I was right. I said he died. I didn't know he killed himself.
Oh, anyway, Tanahashi to potentially receive an
Real-
AEW title match.
Real quick, was Eric Cannon the one that was tweeting about trying to take credit for it?
I'm not sure. I don't remember the name.
Because he was the one that I saw. Because he tweeted something about it being him, and he was the one. So he's the one that said that he was already bleeding and he was trying to take care of him. So then someone was like, no, that's not it. And then he's saying it was a joke.
Oh, so
Like
he's claiming it was a joke now?
He was doing it as a bit.
Yeah, 'cause
that
he
he
got caught.
was. So 411 Mania update. Well, apparently not so much after Eric Cannon posted to Twitter claiming he was the person delivering the fake punches to Dustin Rhodes. It was noted by people online that it has to be a joke. As you can see below, Cannon was booked for a show in Omaha, Nebraska that night.
Yeah, that's what it was.
AIW owner John Thorne shared this article with Cannon, to which you can see Cannon's reply below. Yeah, because he tweeted the thing about it being them. 411 said that it was him. They announced it like it was news. And then the owner of that company he was working at said, well, I don't believe you, but 411 does. And so Eric Cannon responded with a shrug gif. So I have no idea what the situation was.
I have it on good authority.
It might have just been, and I apologize to everybody for me just talking out my ass.
I have it on good authority. It was Shane McMahon.
That's what that was.
Who throws the best punches?
That was the comparison a lot of people were making.
Oh, god damn it.
Because it was,
I thought I was fresh.
because it was the rabbit punches. But yeah, so that's what happened. Is I took part of Randy Orton's tweet and part of Eric Cannon's tweet and put it together in my brain as I think this is what it was.
To Eric Orton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations to Eric Orton.
Signing with
congratulations,
AEW.
Congratulations to The Miz and Kofi.
Yep.
Did you see that thing that came out? They've won the most titles over the decade. They tied.
It was 14 each?
Yeah. So good for like Kofi. I kind of expect because Kofi was always kind of super talented. Everyone kind of had faith, but Miz started so rough.
Yeah.
That for him to become such an icon, man, major
And so
props.
consistently good and has continued to improve. Like, I love The Miz.
Yeah. Major props. Major props. Back to Tanahashi potentially receiving an AEW title match.
So he has a match against Chris Jericho at Wrestle Kingdom, and he kind of made it a joke initially that, oh, well, if I beat Chris Jericho, then I should get a championship opportunity at his title, at the AEW title, which we know that there's nothing but bad blood between AEW and New Japan, apparently.
Right.
So that's kind of a big deal. Chris Jericho has since accepted that challenge. So,
But actually accepted it, or is he Chris Jericho accepting it?
I mean, he's accepting it officially, and like New Japan has now even like officially stated, this is for a future opportunity at the AEW championship.
Oh, so he's gonna lose.
I think probably. Actually, what I think is going to happen is Tanahashi's going to win, and then it'll be at the Jericho Cruise. So it's not really going to count. Like
Right.
it probably
It's
isn't
an
going to
AEW,
actually
but
air.
not really an AEW.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a house
It'll
show
be-
WWE title match.
But
Right.
even then, it's not going to end like cleanly. The Inner Circle's going to get involved, and then the Bucks are going to come out, and then they'll have their moment with Tanahashi
The Dark Order might come out and sink the
or
whole
Kenny
ship.
Omega.
Well, they can't. They don't hit hard enough.
Well, they missed the iceberg, but the ship still falls. Wrestling's weird.
I'm genuinely embarrassed at how wrong I was.
It's fine. It
You
happens.
weren't even that wrong. Like I think you're way overblowing this.
Me? No.
Dalton was the one that suggested that
Roman Reigns turn on Triple H. You're so stupid.
New decade, back on their old
I
bullshit.
like that we both knew.
New decade.
Remember that time he said new decade?
Stop it! You're gonna make Ali
trying.
cry again.
That was even
Remember that time you misnamed the NFL robot?
Cletus?
What?
What, I forget.
No,
what
it's
it was.
Cletus, but I thought it was
No.
like Roscoe or some shit like that.
It was some stupid name. Yeah, you were way off. I remember what
Look,
she's talking about.
We've
but-
all done dumb things except Ali. So I think we should all. I'm trying to think of something dumb you've done. Oh, I remember. Remember when she thought the Miz won at WrestleMania? And she
Oh my God.
celebrated, and then Zack Ryder won.
Shoved him off.
And I just pushed her away. I was like, yeah.
off of you.
That leads us into the topic.
We have fun.
We're talking about things that happened this decade, and that's one of my favorite things that happened this decade because Ali was so sure that Miz took the title.
He was
She got
right
up, went ha.
there.
And then Zack Ryder just knocked him off.
And you like shoved me across the room.
So do we want to do year first or do we want to do decade
Let's
first?
do year first.
Yeah.
I think year first will be so much easier.
I got tears in my eyes. Man. Oh, wait. One thing I did want to talk about really quick. Won't take long.
Oh,
Liv
the
Morgan.
Liv Morgan thing, yeah.
Actually, Raw as a whole. One, I'm a huge Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins fan. I know Dalton is as well, and a lot of people in the room. What they're doing with them with Drew McIntyre, God, just
Him beating him in like 2 minutes,
he beat
50 seconds. I don't know,
He
was it?
beat Kurt Hawkins last week in a one-on-one match, and then destroyed Zack Ryder. This week he just beat both and then pinned both of them. And I'm thinking like, just let them go. Just let them go. My
No, still here.
God.
Still
They
here.
need him too much. Honestly, like if WWE, if they have like a bad Saudi Arabia moment, they can be like, remember the two guys that raised 6,000 toys for Todd?
Yeah.
They are the exact opposite of a liability.
Zach's living his best life. He looks great. He's got Chelsea Green, who looks great. He's got a lot of toys. Can't criticize the man.
He is living
Loves the
his best.
Ghostbusters.
Yes. Oh, can't criticize the man.
He got one of the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge's lightsabers.
Did he really?
Oh, you need to watch his
those aren't
YouTube channel.
Hard to get. You just
But he
gotta
has
give-
one. I don't have one.
I mean, yeah, you go to
'Cause you
Disney,
haven't
you
gone
give
to
them
Galaxy's Edge,
$250, and they give you a lightsaber.
yeah, it's not that easy.
Anywho.
It absolutely is that
I don't
easy.
have that money.
Well, then it's not easy for you.
Yeah,
It's
I was gonna
super
say
easy
that
for
easy.
you. It was super easy for
It's like,
Zack Ryder.
we're gonna have friends with those lightsabers here in 2 years.
He already does. He met him.
Yeah.
Met Zack Ryder.
Oh, yeah, met Zack Ryder.
The Liv Morgan thing. So here's my problem with it. You all know what happened on Raw, I'm assuming, where they had the wedding of the decade, and it was Lana getting married to Bobby Lashley, and of course it was the train wreck everyone thought it was going to be, but it's also one of the most viewed videos on their YouTube channel, like in history. So congrats, you're getting what you want.
It was put on the featured page of YouTube, so it's like those numbers are kind of
Skewed.
they are kind of skewed because the way YouTube works is you don't get on the trending page by actually trending. Like those are handpicked by my understanding of it, because I watch enough content creators who talk about like the YouTube algorithms and stuff, like Funhouse and Kind of Funny, like people like that. You don't get on the trending page by actually having trending content. YouTube kind of handpicks that stuff to direct people
To where they want to go. Probably
Yeah,
So-
and WWE has a big YouTube channel, so
Right.
that
Yeah,
checks
so
out.
it's probably that WWE had an understanding with YouTube that it was put on that front page that had more eyes were going to see it versus someone who's actively looking for WWE content or that specific video.
yeah.
Either way, it's
But it still did.
successful for
Yeah,
them.
you can't deny that it didn't do millions of views. Like, and it beat like. So that portion of the wedding outperformed the actual Fallout, like with Rusev and Lashley, by like 1.5 million. And then the next part underneath was, I think, the Randy Orton AJ Styles segment,
Which was a cool segment.
and that was still like 2 million below what.
And really quick, before we talk about this train wreck, can I talk about how pretty that RKO was?
Although that whole thing was awesome because they planted the seeds at a house show
Yeah.
of having Randy Orton get injured, quote unquote.
Between throwing the crutches and hitting the RKO, it's almost as good as Finn Balor taking off the jacket and hitting the Pele kick at the same time. Like it's
That
the same.
was
It's the
so
same level
pretty.
of how are you so good? But anyway, the wedding, the Liv Morgan thing. Sorry,
Yeah, like there's a lot of things you can pick apart from this, and a lot of people have.
Joey Ryan had a really good tweet about it.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that I saw that made some. Oh yeah, and speaking of shitty people, Joey Ryan made that great point about it, and then one of the comments under it was like, "Hey, how are you guys still getting 5,000 views over on Twitch?" Like, okay. Yeah. Anyway. A lot of things to pick apart about it. There's the whole gay thing, the lesbian surprise, the fact that are they using it for shock value? Are they going to misrepresent lesbian people? Or LGBT people?
No.
And I'm going to leave all that alone because I'm going to wait till they fuck it up real bad. to
And
talk
then we
about it.
can then we can attack.
Because that's kind of where I am. Is like I didn't like the segment. I don't like the seeds that they're planning. Like I don't like this foundation that they've laid.
Yeah.
It's not a sturdy house.
And I don't like that they clearly did it for shock value. They
Right.
are using a lesbian relationship
Well, see,
as a shocking thing, and I don't have faith that they are not going to turn this into a really bad angle because that diva style brawl that
Yeah.
they had at the end
They're
really didn't inspire much
absolutely going
confidence.
to turn into a bad angle. And I think their argument is that, no, we didn't intend the lesbian part to be shock value. We intended the fact that it was just a person coming out and saying I had an affair. But they had to have known, whatever. That, like I said, let's wait for the train to hit the orphans.
And look at the language that she uses in those vignettes about not being herself, about being different. About it's just kind of like some of it doesn't really
and that's what I wanted to talk about.
jive.
That is the part that I wanted to mention tonight is I am a big Liv Morgan fan. And one thing I liked about Liv Morgan was how she looked different and felt different from other people on the roster. The pink hair, the blue tongue when she came out.
Yeah.
She was cool. Man, she was just cool. And what they've done, I feel like, is they've stripped away all of the things that made her unique and cool. And now she's just a platinum blonde, hot girl that does hot things. She's in a hot tub. And now she's in a lesbian angle with this. And like they built up her return. I didn't like the vignettes to begin with because here she is in a bathtub. Here she is being hot. Like
Very
cool.
Emelina vibes.
And when you're in a roster with Mandy Rose, Lacey Evans, and Charlotte Flair, that's like the one thing you don't want to be is an attractive blonde.
And I think Mandy Rose is the biggest one. Like you already have a blonde bombshell, and it's hard to beat Mandy
whose
Rose.
kind of character is the
being
fact that
hot.
she's that hot.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like Lacey Evans is the Southern Belle. She's got her own thing going.
Charlotte is
the daughter of Ric Flair.
She's
She's
the
one of the
queen.
she's the queen. She's like one of the greatest female wrestlers
Right.
of all time. Is
And
how
the-
they're portraying her.
And the reason I mentioned those three is because and it's what you just said. Where can you take that character? Where can you take that look differently in the three different ways that you already have it?
lesbian.
Because you can absolutely have.
And I guess that's a way to go.
lesbian.
Because even Lana, like Lana
Blonde
was
bombshell.
she's a blonde bombshell, but she was a manager. Like she was a valet. She was a manager. She had her own character arc, with the Lana Day stuff before like all of the Lashley this specific story.
And don't forget, you've got Scarlett Bordeaux around the corner, blonde bombshell. Like
Who's a better wrestler?
and Liv Morgan.
Did you say better wrestler or bad wrestler?
Better wrestler.
Okay, thank
And
you.
Liv Morgan.
I like Scarlett.
I think you were
Bordeaux
talking
a
about
lot.
Lana.
No. Well, she's better than both of them.
I don't know. I need to watch more Liv Morgan
Yeah,
Scarlett Bordeaux, to be fair. All I
Scarlett
remember
Bordeaux
from
is
Scarlett
really good.
Bordeaux is I just remember a move she did where she had her legs around the person's head and was ramming it into her own thonged ass over and over again, and the crowd was going nuts and men were masturbating to it. That's all I know. Now, I'm maybe the last part's an exaggeration, but the first part's absolutely not. That is the only wrestling I've seen by her, and I know she's using the gimmick to sell, so good on her. But as like wrestling, I need to see more to tell you who's better, who's worse, whatever.
She is really good.
She is really, really good.
And I've always heard that. But I like Liv Morgan. You build up Liv Morgan like it's going to be something special, and her build up is simply for her to come out and say, I had an affair with Lana. It feels like such a waste.
Well, and it
now
wasn't
Liv
that,
Morgan
like-
has lost everything special about her.
And it's not.
Other than,
It's less
hey,
that
she's a lesbian.
It's less that she had an affair, and it's more that she's heartbroken now because she was with Lana, who is now with Lashley and has abandoned Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
So it's not just like we did it.
So
It's-
she was cheating on Rusev with both Lashley and Liv Morgan at the same time.
Potentially, like there's no timeline. Again, this is all I feel like going to fill in over the next couple weeks. And like, man, I really hope that they do this correctly. But like,
Dalton, wasn't correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't one of Lana's problems with Rusev was that he was a sex machine? All he wanted was sex.
Yeah, I was at that
Meanwhile,
show.
She's crushing 3 different people at the same time.
Well, 2, because it sounded like the sex wasn't happening with her husband, but she definitely was crushing with Lashley and apparently Liv Morgan.
no, it was
Why-
happening with Rusev because he was always wanting it. And then but of course, again, she jumped Lashley in the middle of the ceremony. Like she couldn't wait to get her
She
hands
wanted
on
to
him.
bone him so bad. Although, did you
The
see him
best
in
comment
that?
was the best comment was from I think it was Montez.
It was
Ford,
Montez Ford. I didn't know if we were going to talk about it.
who tweeted because Lashley was clearly wearing stage makeup, and he tweeted out because did you see her face?
Yeah.
She kissed the black off of it.
Jesus
There was a little
Christ.
bit of ink transfer. She went in and their faces touched, and then there was a nice brown mark on her face.
It's
Do
like
you want me
when
to
Zack
find a
Ryder,
picture?
It's like when Zack Ryder hit the mat and left his hair.
the
his-
hairspray.
so it's just embarrassing all over the place. And my favorite
There's
comment
setting
was from
spray, people.
my favorite comment was
I think
Sonya
that's what Sadie
Deville.
said too.
There are ways, like, there are reasons this doesn't happen, like, every time. Oh my gosh.
Meanwhile, Sonya Deville posted about how her mind was blown because she and Mandy Rose have been pitching an LGBTQ storyline to management, and they're just like, "Nah, we don't want to do that." And they're like, "But Liv Morgan's a lesbian now, so, or bisexual, or whatever."
Which is crazy because again, you have an actual like out proud lesbian on your roster.
Who everyone has always been clamoring for her and like Mandy Rose to have some kind of storyline together, and like they're like, "Nah, we have a better story."
Which I mean, depending if this turns out to be a disaster, maybe it's good to not have the actual.
Yeah, that would be
lesbian,
more damning, honestly.
I think they're gonna. Oh man, I can't wait to see this fucking train wreck.
The big thing is like, so Lana made a statement on Twitter about like how you don't know people's personal lives, you don't know their private lives, and like that's fine, like, and that's true. Like, if this is a way of them of one of them coming out like legitimately, then okay, but you can't take that stance if you're just portraying a character. Like, I'm not making sense, I know. So, like, if it turns out that Liv Morgan or Lana are actually gay or queer, bisexual, whatever you want to call it, like, or somewhere in between, because it's a spectrum.
Yeah.
Then okay, that kind of makes it better. But you can't be like, you don't know people's private lives, you don't know what's really in their heart if you're just playing a role. Like if they were just two straight people and now you're playing them, like I think that's a really weird defensive stance to take for someone that's not actually.
Can I feel this? You want to feel this?
How about you start and then I'll make the comment I'm going to make.
Okay, so my problem with it, I agree with you. Where it gets muddy for me is that when it comes to their Twitters and stuff like that, I can never tell what's legit and what's storyline because they try to push storylines on their Twitter.
But they're using their real names because she's tweeting it under CJ Barry.
Right.
Or CJ
Perry.
Yeah.
Perry, yeah.
And it gets muddy because it's like, okay, you're clearly in storyline character, but you're using your actual name. Mm-hmm. And then it gets like,
and the point stands, like she's correct. Like you don't know what someone's feelings are. You don't like, and that's true. So, but like you can't guilt people for making assumptions
about a character.
If the assumptions are strictly about a persona you're playing,
you can't argue for the rights of something that's being written by somebody. Like it's not like a lesbian wrote this as an empowerment for someone who might be coming out.
Like CM Punk's take, I think, is the best one. Of they need to hire someone who actually understands what representation is.
Yes, absolutely.
So what you're saying is somebody can do that exact thing if they're playing a role of something and it's just like, hey, you guys really need to like understand that we don't know. Mm-hmm. It goes back to what we had a very recent conversation about it. About like you can do something like that in a different medium that's not wrestling.
Oh, we're talking about cancer. It was cancer.
Was it?
We were talking about how they can't do a cancer storyline because we don't trust that they would handle
that's
it.
What I knew it was in the last year.
Yeah.
Because like what you're saying is like I didn't follow up Dallas Buyers Club a whole lot, but like if Matthew McConaughey had a tweet about that, and it's like he's never had AIDS or HIV, but he could make a comment about it, like I'm doing this to show awareness on it. In wrestling, when they're actively doing it, and that's the persona that you're seeing, like Matthew McConaughey doesn't tweet out as that character. Wrestling, that's why wrestling doesn't work as well because you have somebody.
Because the lines are so blurred.
It's such a fuzz, and that's what I'm kind of getting at is
he's saying he agrees with you.
No,
I'm agreeing with you 100%. I'm just saying
the difference though, and I know you're just using that as an example, but the difference between Dallas Buyers Club is the character with AIDS that wasn't used for shock value, and
it was just part of the story.
And it really wasn't, and like, especially now, like in the 80s and when there wasn't a whole lot that was known about it, like AIDS, people who suffer from AIDS absolutely have a stigma. People who are HIV positive absolutely have a stigma surrounding them. But it's not as prominent as like homophobia.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And so for them they weren't just...
And the two went together.
They didn't just... they really did. They didn't just drop like, oh, and out of nowhere, here's a big AIDS reveal. Everyone look at the AIDS thing. That's the thing.
They did that in a little movie called Philadelphia.
But what they're doing, with this is, ooh, look, lesbians now. Remember HLA?
Yeah, because you have
and that's what I'm terrified it's going to go back to.
That's what I said whenever I saw it. I was like, man, where's 3 Minute Warning? No, that was on Twitter. I saw somebody say, where's 3 Minute Warning when you need them? And then the next comment under that was dead. And I was like,
I think you need to remember the context of how this was revealed. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a sensitive, legitimate, emotional moment where Liv Morgan would come out and go, I love you, don't do this.
Right.
It was
I'm smashing too.
The love of my life is in that ring right now, and I can't do. And then Lashley was like, I've never been with you. No, it's Lana.
No, Bobby.
And then you heard the Maury Povich audience go, ooh.
Yeah. So
that's what it was. It was a Maury Povich moment.
Because like it absolutely is true. You don't know what's in someone's heart. You don't know where they would possibly fall. Also, none of your fucking business. Because like, who cares?
Because it's none of your fucking business.
It doesn't matter. But when you're making it a point to highlight that specifically, that one thing, and now that's her character
as lesbian Liv.
Now she's hot. Yeah. Then it's
God, don't let that in the atmosphere. The ether, lesbian Liv.
Xavier Woods had a much better idea for it. Immediately have Lana take Lashley's last name, name herself Double L, and then Lash LaRue comes out and challenges her for the.
So let's talk about the year.
Okay.
Because we're out of time, so we're gonna run through a couple things.
We're gonna go about 30 more minutes.
It's so crazy to think of all of the stupid women angles that they had in this year that celebrated women as viable contenders and main event players.
You mean good storylines and then ended it with a stupid one?
Oh, I'm sorry. Was the Maria storyline that good? Where who knows who got her pregnant?
Yeah, they dropped that.
They dropped it like they're going to drop Mike Kanellis at some point. That was bad. There was another storyline with a woman that I'm trying to remember and I can't. Where Emelina? No, not Emelina. That was years ago. They don't do well with women when they try to write stories for them.
When they're not writing a story for a woman, but they're just writing a story with women in it.
When they're writing a story as a female athlete, it's
yeah.
okay.
When they're doing female athlete,
when they try to tell stories, though, Allie,
like the Mandy Rose.
Oh yeah, the Mandy Rose trying to seduce
Jimmy Uso.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Where
Was that this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair.
Where
She showed
was
up
like
in the hotel room.
in the hotel room with a full camera crew, but like
God.
had
But
the
I'm here to show you.
No, but had the paparazzi
Paparazzi.
like snap pictures of them alone. Oh my God.
She doesn't understand how like live
So of
networking
the
works.
year,
God damn.
let me. Where's my notes?
Hey, CM Punk came back. Oh
Sure
boy,
did.
thank God for him.
Of the year, let me see. So I have the only thing I really have prepared are promo, wrestler, and moment and match.
Okay.
My moment of the year, I'm gonna skip because that one I still can't decide on. My match of the year, I think, is Cody Rhodes versus Dustin at Double or Nothing.
I disagree.
I mean, that's fine.
I actually do have a match of the year.
What's yours?
Mine is just for the sheer like great match and the feeling. Kofi versus Bryan.
That was my number 2. Like
Was
that was on my list of.
Because I can't remember anytime we've ever watched a match and been other than when it was a tag match. Who was it? It was was it DIY?
Yeah,
DIY
it was
versus
DIY versus
Revival.
Revival.
Like, that's the
I
only
wasn't
time
even
remember.
there for that, but I can tell you.
Yeah, it was
that-
because it was me and Shannon. We're just like
Yeah.
we wanted them to win so bad.
But the excitement level when Kofi finally won the title, and it was a great match too.
Yeah.
That for me is match of the year by far. So, does anybody else have one they want to add? Allie, I know you told me earlier yours was Fiend versus Seth Rollins.
No. I really enjoyed the women's match, that main event, the last pay-per-view. If they just
The tag match?
the TLC match.
Yeah.
If they cut off the part
If
where the
they
men
did-
come out.
yeah. If they
to
just
really
let
entertain
them- Yeah.
Dalton, you're the only one without a pick.
War Games this year was really good.
Which one?
The women's one.
Because there were 2.
Yeah, I that probably was my match of the year was the women's War Games.
Congratulations, by the way, to a woman, Charlotte Flair and Andrade. They got engaged.
Yeah, she said C.
That's cool.
That's what he said.
Or
Yeah.
he did. Because, I mean, he's a catch.
Yeah.
They both are.
That boy's
That's
sexy.
just
Wasn't
attractive
she already
people.
married to Magnus, wasn't it?
Yeah, that didn't end well.
I don't remember.
Yeah, Charlotte was married to
No, not Magnus.
Braun.
Bram.
Bran. That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
He was the... I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll move on.
Yeah. It wasn't
I don't
good.
remember much of
Not
it.
important.
Yeah, I'm blanking on it. It's fine. So match of the year, Kofi versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. You had women's War Games
yeah.
at TakeOver. The Kabuki Warriors versus Becky and Charlotte at TLC, and then I had Cody versus Dustin at Double or Nothing.
Yes.
One of the year, match of the year, promo of the year. So two of like a bunch of these are come down to the build to Kofi winning the WWE Championship and Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah.
Those were my 2 favorite things of the year. So promo of the year, I had the ones that I had notable were Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey on Raw. On the 28th, I really thought that one was really strong. The New Day and Vince promo on SmackDown, building to that,
Yeah.
and then the first Firefly Funhouse. I think I'm gonna give that one to the New Day and Vince because that was the one that Kofi was talking about. You know, being there for 11 years, missing missed his son's first steps. He's not trick or treating with his son. Things like that. That was super powerful, and that's when wrestling is at its best. Is when there is that kernel of truth.
Yeah.
That is exaggerated upon and built upon because you can't fake that level of emotion. So whenever you have someone as talented as Kofi able to tap into that, it's so great.
That Firefly Funhouse, though. I really
And
don't
the sheer randomness of just watching Raw, it's a wrestling show, and then out of nowhere, we're really glad that you're what is that Bray? what the f- is happening?
Is this a fever
What is
dream?
going on? And then they just don't acknowledge it. You're just like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Are we still on promo?
Yeah.
I was looking mine up. I have two, because they're both like just whenever I think of a good promo, I think of those two. Cody Rhodes on episode 14 on Road to Double or Nothing.
Talking about his brother.
Yeah, and it's like the old Yeller promo. Oh, that's a good one.
That one was really good.
But if I'm going on like one that wasn't super produced, Juice Robinson right before he wrestled John Moxley for the U.S. title.
It's right here.
Where he was just like, you're not like pretty much completely denounced CJ Parker, which he's been doing, but this was like, no, this is somebody that I looked up to in FCW, but he's not dealing with that guy anymore. And he says like, you're not going to see a beautiful you're not going to see a beautiful headlock takeover. You're not going to see a headlock like drive. Like you're going to see a fight. Those two are probably my two favorite promos of the year. I think Juice Robinson is also one of the more underrated people going, which I know we've been saying for like 2 years in a row, but go out of your way to watch him. Like if you can get New Japan stuff, just put in Juice Robinson on YouTube.
He'll be on Wrestle Kingdom, which Wrestle Kingdom is tomorrow or
and the day
yeah,
after.
they're doing 2 days of Wrestle Kingdom, and it's going
Is
to be
Wrestle Kingdom the big one?
yeah,
that's
that's
their
their big one.
mania.
They're doing
you
2
watching
nights
it?
of it.
Well, considering I really haven't slept a whole lot because I've been playing Battlefront, yeah, I'll be up for it.
So my promo is really basic, and it's been recent, but it's the one that sticks out to me the most as that's legit. That is a legit thing, and that is Samoa Joe. When Seth Rollins and the Authors of
2 weeks
Pain,
ago?
yeah, and it was so simple. He just sat there, and everyone else ran. They came to the announcer's table, and it was Jerry Lawler and the other
Vic
guy.
Joseph.
Vic
Yeah,
Joseph, yeah.
they ran.
Who's really good.
Samoa Joe just sat there, and he was just like, "No, I sit
If
here.
I get up, it's not to leave.
Yeah, he's like, if I get up, it's not to leave. It's your asses or something like that." And it was just like Joe was so believable as a kind of a soft spoken, don't f with me.
Speak softly, carry a big stick.
Yeah.
He still has like it's one of my favorite promos of all time now.
The Paul Heyman?
when him and Brock building to him and Brock Lesnar of him going up to Paul Heyman and off the fact that it's so powerful is it's off microphone of just like, I'm gonna put you in a chokehold, everything's gonna get real dark, and then you're gonna go to sleep. Like, and he's, no, I'm just an advocate. No, I understand that. Like that's cool. This is what's about to happen to you. Like that was so
Yeah, that was a
menacing
really
and
good one.
terrifying.
And he can be menacing, but then he can also just have like good comedic timing where
He's very
like,
funny, yeah.
Yeah,
He's super talented.
This week on WWE, I was telling Asa he had my moment of the week where, all right, he helps Kevin Owens. They go to the back. The security says, "Your guys are leaving," and he said, "All right, boys, this is how it's going to work. If any of you touch me, you won't be feeling with your hands anymore." And it's just like, God, why are you perfect?
The more you think about it, the more pissed off I am that Samoa Joe exists. Just because he's just like, yeah, you don't
He's
need to be
so
that
good.
charismatic and good.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and legitimately threatening because there are so many wrestlers that can yell
Joey
at you.
Headrocker.
He can
Rigo.
they can be threatening because they yell and scream and try to act menacing, but Joe just does it naturally.
That's what sets
He's a
Chris-
modern day Jake the Snake.
That's what what set Chris Jericho apart when he had when he was the suit world champion of just, he was speaking slowly and quietly.
Yeah.
And you had to hang on.
It wasn't the standard wrestling.
Yeah, it's great. Samoa Joe's great.
Allie?
So my answer is kind of an odd answer, and it's a promo picture more so of Becky with the bloody nose.
So that's my moment.
That's your moment.
That might be my moment of the. Well, it's not. So my moment of the year is Kofi Kingston winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That is the most emotion I have felt in professional in as a fan of professional wrestling, because I've been very emotional with doing stuff with CCW.
But strictly as a fan.
doing that show doing Super Show with Matt Stryker and having him compliment me and seeing you guys have your match and just seeing knowing being as close to Jackson and Marco and seeing Marco succeed, stuff like that, I get emotional and really proud of. But as just strictly a fan who has no input on what's about to happen, that was it, because it was so well deserved. But so it was that. It was Becky looking after being punched in the face by Nia in the crowd, looking back, blood streaming from her nose. That was an iconic moment. Absolutely.
Yep.
And then also the first the Fiend entrance.
Ooh.
Because that one was just captivating. That was insane.
Yeah.
And that's before it got really stupid.
And then the match happened. Yeah. And it was just
well, no, that Finn Balor, in fairness, the Finn
match
Balor
was
match.
great.
the Finn Balor match was better.
Beside the neck snap, if you'd have taken the neck snap out of it, I'd been like, well, I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
The internal decapitation.
But just that first, the song, the lighting,
the lantern.
effects, the lantern,
Because
Like,
they turned the
seeing
lights back
that,
on.
yeah, it was
great.
I don't even know what my moment of the year would be. It would probably be The Fiend.
What's my moment?
Just probably as a whole. Or the formation of House 100. Probably my moment of the year. I'm being dead serious. Like,
No, that's fair.
I'm gonna
No,
be.
you should be you should be proud of that. Like that's awesome.
That started because when Dalton and I did our thing last year, it put me on a path, and I didn't think it would go there. My thought process was, I'm going to get in this thing with Dalton. It's going to last a couple months. Dalton's going to put me down, and it's going to help him out, and then I'm going to leave. And instead, it turned into, hey, we want to put a group with you. And I said, okay. And the group turned out to be some of the best wrestlers in the indie scene and super talented. And they taught me and they helped me. And that was the moment where I had something bigger than I ever thought I would ever get. So that was very important to me, just as a selfish reason. Also, promo of the year would be me at the last show because I heard it, the whole place shut up when I started talking. Anyway,
Oh man, what's my moment?
I'm like Samoa Joe, really.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
So
like
while you're thinking of your moment, real quick, I have a recommendation for Allie.
Uh-huh.
Just because I know you like Becky and like along that same line. Her interview, the sit down interview she did with Shayna Baszler. If you haven't seen that, leading up to Survivor Series, was really, really good. And then also her talking about Asuka and how Asuka has her number are both two really, really good.
So fuck Shannon. I actually thought of my real moment of the year.
When you said that, I thought it was because I said something that was like super dismissive, and I was like, "Oh God, what did I do?"
No, you sparked something in my head. Fucking Poppy coming out at NXT.
Oh, that was baller.
Doing
Yeah.
the intro song, and then Io
Shirai.
Shirai coming out to Mask. No, that was it.
Well,
I
it was
watched
scary
that
Mask,
clip
but-
so many times.
So my moment, I'm torn between the end of WrestleMania, so Becky, because it was never supposed to be her. Like, let's all be real. The first women's main event at a WrestleMania was going to be Charlotte Flair holding a belt. That's what it was supposed to be the whole time. And the fact that between SummerSlam the year before and then Becky Lynch was the most over thing in wrestling, and that was what got it to be her. And somebody that like truly deserves it. Like Charlotte would have deserved it too, and Ronda too, to a certain extent, because she did add legitimacy. But it wasn't supposed to be Becky, and the fact that it was Becky, like that, and then honestly, like the formation of AEW, like
That's a big one.
I think that is. I honestly think so. My moment of the year was January 1st, 2019, because that's when they announced it at midnight. They said we're starting our own company, and to see that kind of like, all right, they're going to do a pay-per-view. Well, that was amazing. They're going to do another pay-per-view that was a fundraiser for victims of shootings. Like, that's going to be awesome. And like, just to see them like build, and yeah, it hasn't been the cleanest like build in the world, but it never is. Like WWE like wasn't amazing overnight. But getting to see like, now we have a legitimate competition in wrestling again. Like, it's not WWE or hope you have an awesome gimmick and can make a lot of money on the indies. Now it is, you can go to WWE, you can go to TNA, you can go to Ring of Honor, you can go to AEW, you can go to New Japan, you can go wrestle in UK for
NXT UK.
NXT. That's not the one I was thinking of, but Evolve. Like,
That was something we could have talked about too.
what?
Was that Triple H and HBK on Corey Graves' podcast? We'll talk about it after the show because then that
Okay.
will lead into the discussion. It's
We're,
fine.
almost at- we're over on time.
So
at
I'm
this
thinking
point.
like, yeah, mine's too, AEW forming and then Becky Lynch. Like in a single moment, Becky Lynch, as like importance of the wrestling in the year, AEW. That was a gunshot.
That was a gunshot.
I might have just been fireworks too because it's New Year's.
I'm Brecky.
That
And
was
you
pretty-
can too.
That was pretty quiet for a gunshot.
Oh, maybe it was a Derringer.
So
Lady finger is what they call them.
going to decade from year end because that's unless you guys had something else from the year you wanted to talk
Who's
about.
your tag team of the year?
New Day.
Okay.
It's like it's always New Day.
That's.
'cause-
I mean, that's fair. That's a good
and
one.
because it also wraps into the Kofi story that
Yeah.
they told.
Tag team of the year.
It's the only thing we didn't talk about. Did we have a superstar of the year either?
Wrestler of the year. No, we didn't.
Yeah, we really didn't.
Do you want to do that really
I
quick?
mean, we can. Like, those were the.
So my selfish answer for tag team of the year is Jurassic Express, just as a whole. No,
As a
is it
team?
Jurassic Express?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's a boy
As
and
a team.
a boy and his dinosaur are Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus.
Right.
Jurassic Express is
All
the
three
two
of
of them and Marco.
I have to include all three of them because I think they are all such a part of each other now.
They really do like just have a fun chemistry.
They
I'm
do,
glad
and
that-
that's why I like them the most.
I'm glad that I was wrong about it Because
Yeah.
like my initial reaction was,
Fear.
I don't think the two of them need Marco, and Marco will just get lost as part of that group. But in reality, yeah, they have turned that into
Did
something
you listen
special.
to Jericho podcast yet?
Not yet. It's on. Like I'm gonna actually start it tomorrow because Kind of Funny took 2 weeks off, so
Yeah.
I'm going through my backlog.
It's a
of
good
stuff.
one.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah, in 2019, Marco Stunt did a podcast with Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
That's super
Bastard.
cool.
This is the same kid that just like 2 years ago was insulting Allie, and when we were sitting in,
He was insulting all of us.
That's true, mostly Allie, because
yeah.
everybody said she was a little kid.
Yeah, which was funny coming out of him. But no, I think my tag team's Lucha Brothers. I honestly think anytime, like, just me personally, like an entertainment standpoint, like if I know that they are going to be wrestling, I'm going to be entertained.
Yeah.
Like amazing.
So not the Young Bucks this year.
Not the Young Bucks this year. Like they had awesome matches with the Lucha Brothers, but they had like 5 months off where they really weren't doing anything because they were waiting for the first AEW pay per view. Where like the Lucha Brothers were in Mexico, they were up in Chicago, they were everywhere.
Tag team to watch this next year: the Blade and the Butcher. I don't know why, but I think big things. They look great.
Have you seen any of
They've
their?
got Allie with them.
Have you seen any of their indie stuff?
No.
I do think you would like them. They're
Yeah, that's very much your.
Well, plus I just love their look is amazing, and the Blade and the Butcher just sounds so cool.
That's
Yeah.
a cool name.
Very cool.
Um,
And then Allie as the bunny.
we have a superstar of the year.
Will Daz Alley have a tag team?
Oh my
I
bad,
would say New Day.
that would be a good one too.
Especially what they turned into.
They 'cause whenever
I would
said-
also accept the Iconics.
Remember when Paige came out and said I put these two together, and it's just like, oh, okay, so they're throwing the two Japanese girls together, and their name, the Kabuki Warriors,
Right.
okay, and then by 2000,
But then they
19's
actually, leaned into the name.
Yeah,
like
and they
Kairi
were
Sane dropped the pirate
badass.
stuff, and yeah, it turned out to be really good.
bad ass.
Yeah,
And the superstar of the year is very easy.
Becky.
So tell me who it is.
Becky.
Becky.
Oh,
No, I'm going with Becky.
I want to say it's Becky.
I'm gonna say Seth Rollins. I'm kidding.
But say, I mean, he had a lot of really good matches. It wasn't his 2018 was better than his 2019.
Can I do that one again?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's Seth Rollins' fiance.
I agree that Becky had a better. I think overall Becky had a better year, but I want to give it. But like, I also think Kofi. I don't know.
it's
I feel
one
like
of those two.
'cause, like, you're-
there's
It could
arguments for
also be
both.
Chris Jericho. This
I
is
mean,
a dude that
oh,
they
no,
kind of
there's-
launched AEW around.
there's really a lot of really, really great options, and I understand
Yeah.
like everything you were saying about Becky. It's just like in my head, I was just like, yeah, but you could also say that about Kofi.
Yeah,
And
no,
the
and you're
and the-
absolutely right.
But instead of Charlotte, but I think the thing that for me makes Kofi's story better is how they use Daniel Bryan, because 5 years ago, it was Daniel Bryan was in that role, and now they've turned him into the bad guy of just like no, like I'm the one who had to claw my way up. You're the one that doesn't belong.
He was the Darth Vader to Luke Skywalker.
And
there.
they both had kind of weird stretches where like Becky was very stalled and not really doing anything. Kofi's reign, he was booked strongly, but like
It wasn't memorable.
They didn't really give him anything to really sink his teeth into. And then the way it ended,
and a shitty ending.
Wa-
I think that's
was
the
real
biggest
bad.
difference is that the women's division, short of Ronda Rousey, who was gone, does not have a Brock Lesnar.
yeah.
Because if the women's division had a Brock Lesnar, they probably would have fed Becky to him.
But also,
Her.
but now the problem is like Becky is out of viable opponents. That's why they
Yeah.
had to put her in the tag team division, and now her next challenger is the
Asuka.
women's tag team
Yeah.
champion. In
Yeah.
But also
Asuka.
good on them for doing something good with Asuka.
Which, yeah,
putting
which-
their title on her and making her a viable
I really
contender.
hope they. Honestly, like I genuinely hope Asuka beats her.
I do too. Because Asuka deserves she deserves it. She got screwed the first time. Like
and the third time
yeah,
and the fourth
coming
time.
up from NXT, they took a hot commodity and threw it in a refrigerator. And
Oh no, they booked her very well until she tapped out to Charlotte last year,
and it was all
or
down
2 years ago now.
all downhill from there.
But yeah, so I think I would give it to Kofi, but again, like he's been a favorite of mine for so long.
Oh,
obviously,
same, yeah.
Obviously, I'm not trying to take away from like that Becky had the friggin' killer year that she did.
The best year that a woman wrestler's ever had.
By the way,
Yeah.
thanks Nia Jax. If you ever did one good thing, it was accidentally breaking her face because it was the Stone Cold moment at was it
Yeah.
WrestleMania when he was
Passed
in the
out.
sharpshooter
Yeah.
and he passed out with the blood in his face, made
The
Stone
double
Cold
turn.
an even bigger badass.
Yep.
yeah.
Uh,
Thanks, Nia.
Thanks,
So,
Nia. Hey,
anything-
that's all. Let's give it up for Nia.
That was last.
Now
That
stay
was
away.
that was 2018 though.
Now stay
No.
away.
It was this year. Her breaking her nose was this year.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I put the date on it.
Because that was Survivor Series the year before.
Becky Ronda Raw match moment.
Because I was at the SmackDown.
I don't have so broken nose Becky, but it was this year because I have it on the list. It's underneath Kofi winning WWE Championship. I just don't have the list on it.
Okay.
I don't know enough about time. All I know is that what felt like was
I
6 years
feel
ago
like it
happened
was
4
this
months
year.
ago.
Yeah, no, I have no sense of time either when it comes to everything. Where so was there any other year-end
No.
award or
I didn't-
note you wanted to something of worth mentioning? Because like I didn't include most improved, but I would probably give that to Tessa Blanchard, even though she's been very good for a long time. This is the first year that I've really like understood the hype and really gotten behind it.
I would give it to Baron Corbin.
Oh shit! It was November 18.
Yep, November. Yep, because I was at the SmackDown right after it where they said she suffered a broken face.
Oh.
Wait, so then can Ali still count?
Nope.
You got to pick a new one, dog.
Your new pro. It's the Shayna Baszler Becky Lynch confrontation
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I was just thinking, I was like, that was Survivor Series.
because that one was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was the Raw invasion. It was just at the very end of 18.
Yeah. Close enough.
But no, shout out to Tessa Blanchard because she's
Yeah,
like I think she's grown as a performer, like as well from the beginning of the year to now. Like she was always good, but like I said, this is the first year that for me personally, like I finally truly understand the hype and I'm excited to see what comes next for her.
What depresses me is like I'm now looking at the time we've spent. 'Cause we're at an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to talk about the decade, that's another 30 minutes to 40 minutes.
You know, I think we can do
do
it.
we have time to do
I
it
think
tonight?
I think we can do it in 10.
It's the return of PZ85 for 2020.
We gave this.
It's a special show. It makes up for all the missed for the 2 weeks of missed
I guess I can eat
Content.
pizza rolls.
I'm making soup tonight. I want to hear it.
Walmart doesn't close.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. The little one does.
Yeah, like
There's
2
also
a.m.
Taco Bell.
I'm not. Oh, no. I think I'm done with Taco Bell.
No.
Sir,
Wrong.
They've wronged me.
sir.
Wrong.
They're birds of trash when I go to the window. Let's talk about the decade, and we'll
Decade.
figure it out.
All right, so this is just some of the stuff that I had that I thought was interesting coming from the decade. Also, some of this was like, holy crap, how was this not like 50 years ago?
CM Punk.
The
I
C-
legitimately thought CM Punk happened in like 97.
I have the
and I
CM
realized that's not it.
I have the CM Punk pipe bomb and exit and return. Because all of that has
Happened
been in the last 10 years.
Well, when did the pipe bomb happen? Wasn't it like 13 or
2012.
14?
It was
2012.
earlier. Yeah, it was earlier.
I'm
It
pretty
was
sure
at
it's
the beginning.
2012.
I couldn't give you the exact date or year.
And then he left in
2014.
2014?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then he came back in 2019, sort of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's working with WWE.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be fair, working with WWE, that counts.
Yeah.
So that's crazy that entire shenanigan happened in a 10-year span.
Yeah.
It feels like it stretched over 4 lifetimes.
Well, and also because he really kind of
2011.
is when
Pipe
the
bomb.
pipe bomb. So
And then he left in 2014.
he did radically kind of change the landscape
he did.
of WWE.
Of everything.
Because he brought in, like, there were a lot of people, like you still see today, people who they were lapsed wrestling fans, that the pipe bomb is what brought them back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have people who had never watched wrestling before, but then, like, saw this weird, someone called out, like, the guy who owns the company? What's this? And then they stuck around.
And
So
the
it's-
balls on Vince McMahon for letting him do it.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be stated.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't a case of CM Punk stole a microphone and literally went out there and said stuff.
Like we all thought.
Vince said, "Go out there and air your grievances."
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like, holy shit, that you got to give Vince
And
credit.
he let him say like this company will be better when you're dead.
Yeah,
like
he went off.
But the
off,
the sad part though is look at how that story ended.
and it's still going on today.
Like he lost to Triple H at WrestleMania, or not WrestleMania,
SummerSlam.
SummerSlam. He lost to Triple H. He ended up feuding with Alberto Del Rio. Got screwed by Kevin Nash, but then that match never ended up
because
happening.
Kevin Nash couldn't pass a physical.
Yeah, it's just so like it's a lot of like really really great moments in vacuums.
Yeah.
With WWE.
yeah.
See, Kofi winning Firefly Funhouse, almost anything.
This is the decade that gave us AEW. This is the decade that gave us the
Have that on
rise
there.
of the Indies.
Have that on there.
This is the decade that gave us the WWE relationship with bloodthirsty tyrants from another kingdom.
This gave
You're not
us-
wrong, but I didn't have that on there. But so run through the list. The Women's Revolution.
Yeah.
With the Evolution pay-per-view, the actual like Give Divas a Chance movement,
Thank God for Stephanie McMahon.
Oh, you
and
son
then
of
of course the
She's
main
the real hero.
the WrestleMania main event is huge. You can never argue that it's not. AEW forming
yes.
/ the rise of independence,
All ties in together.
which I think part of the rise of independence comes from streaming, which that all comes from the WWE network.
Yeah.
I still have a bunch of stuff to go, but I think that when we look back on this decade of wrestling, the WWE network is going to be the thing that people talk about the most because it has made wrestling way more accessible,
What are you looking?
and it's also remember when it was $60 a month to order a pay per
When
view.
you'd have to get with your friends and be like, okay, who's paying what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone chip in $10
It was
so we could.
2014 if that's what you're looking up.
No, I'm looking at something else.
Okay.
But
your ears perked up during it. And I was like, it was 2014.
But like, and so now the events are easier to watch. They have extra content on there. You can go back and watch all the old pay-per-views plus other companies' stuff, like old school stuff.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of thing that have made, like you said before we recorded, like now Impact has a streaming service. New Japan World is a thing. None of these would happen if it wasn't for WWE Network.
And I think maybe not in the exact same thing, but I think there would be a lot of the stuff that we love, maybe not the network, but when you talk about the indies, being the elite, stuff like that, none of that would have happened if were not for Zack Ryder, who launched, I wanted to see when he launched the True Long Island Z story. And that was 8 years ago. Yeah. So that, if not for that Zack Ryder video, like none of this shit would happen. The WWE on YouTube wouldn't even be a thing probably.
Look up Colt Cabana's podcast. Was that this decade?
Like 2010. I'll do a double check, but I'm pretty sure it started in 2010.
Because that's another one where, you know, if Colt Cabana hadn't started that podcast, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
Like, I feel like it eventually would have caught up. Like, WWE would eventually have a YouTube channel. Because you can't not be an entity and not have a YouTube channel now.
Right, but
they wouldn't have gotten into it as early as they did.
Right, Zack Ryder really blazed the trail on that one.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's a really, really good call that I missed. And then with the rise of the independents tying in with WWE Network, you have sites like Fight TV, Independent Wrestling. You have all of these other like streaming services for smaller companies. So you know, with Super Show, that was amazing because you didn't have to be in Cape to see our guys.
2010.
I was right.
July 28th, 2010.
I did that without even looking at my phone.
Sean Davari.
Yeah. So, I mean, but like that's an example of a guy who kind of decided, I want to do something different. And then he did it. And, and that changed independent wrestling forever because it gave a voice to these people that other people may not have ever had a way of hearing a story.
Yeah.
TNA and Impact Wrestling. It's been 10 years of
the plight of the
TNA's
cockroach.
dying. TNA's dying. Oh, nope, it's back. No, it's dying. No, it's back. No, well, now it's gone. Billy Corgan's interested. Nope, never mind. He's going to NWA. It's like, I think Impact's story of the decade is really, really cool.
The fall of Ring of Honor.
The rise and fall of Ring of Honor.
Yeah, kind of.
It's still on a wait and see moment, though, but like a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
I mean, when it eventually falls, we can say this decade was the rise and fall of Ring of Honor because, like, 2 years ago, I mean, not even 2 years ago. Well, no, we're getting close to 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we decided that we wanted to go see Supercard instead of NXT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Ring of Honor was the place to be.
Yeah, like you were going to see the Bucks, you were going to see Kenny, Cody, like, and then people like Punishment Martinez, who's Damian Priest now, and like a lot of people, like just that was where you went to. You would go see the next NXT batch of people.
Right.
Changing of the guard in New Japan. So like the rise, aka Okada.
Yeah.
Coming in and just like being
Making
one of the
rain.
most dominant, most over champions in Japan's history.
Yeah.
That was going to be my superstar of the decade.
Which is crazy because he came from, I mean, he was obviously a star in Japan, but like you remember you don't remember his short stint in TNA where he was.
Well, that was his excursion.
Yeah.
And like, it's that thing of when, who was it? Someone could have bought the rights to the Marvel. Sony could have bought the rights to the Iron Man for like $2 million.
But chose not to.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
And now look, it's made $80 billion worldwide. All that. But at the time, like that's because what we got now. Like look at when you pair it with the right creative team and the right machine behind it, that's what Iron Man could have been. If Sony had spent those $2 million, I would bet you everything on my name that they would not have, that we would not have the MCU right now.
Yeah, no.
And it wouldn't have turned into that same thing. Like Okada in TNA was a different human being than the Rainmaker.
Yeah.
And like going back to the importance of that, like because that was 2010, like that was the beginning of this decade. I just did what you did.
Decade.
Yeah. Like he had the conversation with they wanted him to blade and he never did it before, or he wasn't comfortable doing it, and like the Bucks, whenever their generation
Me
stepped up for him and said no, that's not going to happen. So whenever the Bucks go to Japan, Okada is like one of the first people to be like,
these guys are cool.
These guys are cool, and then that led to the Bucks led to the boom in the independent scene.
Yeah,
there's nobody else.
And Bullet Club
and Kenny.
Well, yeah, but like mainly the Bucks, like the Bucks being the ones that are just like they're making six figures on just shirts.
They were the top. They were like top merch sellers Like it was they like their numbers were unparalleled. Like they were, but a lot of it too was Bullet Club.
Yeah.
And that was the other part of the New Japan thing was it's Okada and Bullet Club. Like that's what this.
So talking about they passed on it because they didn't know it was a hot commodity at the time. This is random and it's not going to take a second, but I found this out because I've started watching a channel on YouTube recently called The Gaming Historian, and he's really good.
Yeah.
One of the stories he told was, you know who was originally pegged? They wanted to play Mario in the Mario Brothers movie, but they passed on because they didn't think he could do a dramatic role because they wanted the movie to be dramatic. Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks wanted to be Mario.
That movie would have been good.
And they passed on.
No,
They
it
said
still would have been the same movie.
they said you can't do drama. We need someone, a dramatic actor. The same year he did Philadelphia, which won him an Oscar.
He probably wouldn't have won that Oscar if he'd done Mario.
Oh, beg to differ. Agree to disagree.
The movie would have been charming.
Also saying like TNA didn't know what they had when they had Okada. I think the argument there should be they didn't realize what they had when they had the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Because even before, because they were the Young Bucks before they went to TNA. Everyone was like, oh sweet, they're going to be on a national platform now. They're going to set the world on fire. Generation Me, like.
Well, to be fair,
Jeremy
Punk was there.
But that was like 0203.
Yeah, but I'm saying like TNA had all of these future indie stars, and they didn't really do anything with
They
them.
had all the future WWE stars.
Yeah, they had the WrestleMania,
Except the Bucks.
the WWE main eventers
Yeah.
And Okada.
Let's say AJ Styles.
Oh, that's a different story. Actually,
Yeah.
that could be its own story.
of TNA of
TNA helping WWE.
Yeah,
by
that's
giving
the whole
them
thing,
all
like,
the main event
the
guys.
inadvertent developmental system. Okada, the Performance Center opening / NXT Takeover.
Yeah,
Like the rise of NXT. And then the last two that I have are the Shield debut.
yes, absolutely.
Because when you go back and you think about the Shield, that is 3 guys who from day one, you were told, here are 3 of the future carriers of the company.
and they were
And they were for years.
the whole time they were there.
And they
Even
still
now.
they still are. Except
one's in a
now,
different company.
Except now one is carrying the torch for AEW instead of WWE.
Right.
And then the
Makes
last
sense.
one that I have is Daniel Bryan from the Yes Movement to WrestleMania 30 to retirement to his return. Because that is we talked about CM Punk, but that is one that he won his world championship, I think in 2011 against Mark Henry when he cashed in, or Mark Henry or Big... No, it was
They
Mark
were both in the match. But
It was Mark Henry was champion. He cashed in on him because he promised Big Show he wouldn't cash in on him.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, I'm not going to I'm going to do it honorable, and then cashes in on Mark Henry. And then that started the Yes Movement, which was him being the obnoxious heel, celebrating himself that people booed, but then they embraced it. And
then
it became
Sheamus
what
kicked
it
his
is.
face off in like 6 seconds, and
Yep.
everyone was like, well,
And
screw
then
that guy.
That's what kicked off the true Yes Movement that made him a fan favorite. And then, the retirement, which is to this day, even knowing how it turns out, is like one of the most heartbreaking things that happened.
I think you missed a couple things in there, though.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I missed a million things. That's
There
why
was-
I have my
There's
list, and I'm
one
ready
that-
for you guys to.
There's one that sticks out in my mind more than anything, probably. Dalton, you know what I'm going to say?
No.
The
That was-
streak.
Undertaker streak. Yeah.
Undertaker streak.
I
in
thought
there.
Oh, hell yeah.
I thought about
was
putting
this
that
year.
and Brock
Or
Lesnar.
this decade.
That and Brock Lesnar's return on here.
Yeah. Because, I mean, that is one of the most shocking things ever. I saw a post about it today. Someone was talking about it, and it was the same with us. We thought something went wrong. We looked at each other going like, what?
Well, plus Paul Heyman, like at ringside, because Paul Heyman is a master of his craft
Right.
as an on-screen character of just
Yeah.
like, oh no, like
Yeah.
he almost seemed.
Oh, someone going to
upset
get
that it
fired.
happened.
It was like when Sarah Summers won the title. And it was like, oh, shit. That wasn't supposed to happen. There was a couple other in my head that I can no longer think about. But that's the biggest one for me was the streak. Because that was a truly shocking moment that I think changed a lot of things. You know, maybe didn't long term. It was whatever after that. Because then Undertaker has never been the same,
Yeah.
arguably. He beat Bray Wyatt in a one-sided feud, literally, because he never showed up for
He's
it.
only lost one of the WrestleMania. It was against Roman.
Yeah, that kind of tells you exactly. But the moment the streak ended, the look on the fans' faces said it all.
Yeah,
including
that was
ours.
one of the few times I think I've been like as an adult because I was 23, I think.
I was 45.
Yeah. Like it was like one of the few times that I was like shocked.
You were appalled.
I wasn't
You were a little.
I was
appalled.
21, but also I had to realize what year it was. But like I was truly stunned that happened. Like that, I don't think I've had that feeling since.
Yeah, I agree. That was a stunner. That was the number one stunner. And that's it. That's the entire decade. Nothing else happened.
Jesus
It's
Christ.
so insane. Now there's too much to talk about. There's been so
No,
much
yeah.
wrestling history in the past 10 years.
And this has been this like 2010 to 2019 was a boom in professional wrestling.
It was.
It started very stagnant.
the NWA came back.
Yeah.
Like that's something we could have talked about
like
more.
3 times, and now is apparently back. Like
Yeah,
right
and
So
NWA
now it's got the
Powers its thing.
power.
There's
CCW.
more, there's more wrestling in general. Like there's just more professional wrestling to watch in general.
More than ever.
Because you have WWE, you have Impact, you have NWA. ROH has a weekly show.
Your local indie promotion, there's 6 on every block.
Yeah,
If you live in Tennessee, you own one just by moving into the state.
they give you one when you go into the state. Yeah,
Yeah. And you have to book Sarge.
You have
better.
to fucking get to.
Yeah, there's so much wrestling history. We don't have time to talk about it all. But 2010, 2019, I think the 80s were huge for wrestling. 80s to the 90s were huge. The 90s to the thousands was huge with the Attitude Era and stuff like that.
Yeah.
2000, 2010, nothing happened. Literally, you could
A lot
slept through the entire thing.
A lot happened, but it was just WWE.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was the death of WCW. It was WWE took over. No one gave a shit. It became stagnant
Because there was no competition.
2010 to 19 will really kind of. It's the beginning of something new. I can't wait to see what happens in the next 10 years. Sort of, because at the end of the next 10 years, I'll be 60, and like, holy shit, I'm not ready for that. No, all jokes aside, I will be old, and I don't think I'm gonna make it. But we'll see what happens. I think that's a good place to end it.
Do it.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year. Fuck. It's 2020.
It is.
Bitches.
So celebrate. I want you to tongue kiss the nearest person closest to you with consent. Important. You turn to them right now. Listen to me. Listen to me. Look at the camera. This isn't a camera. Just kiss somebody. All right, fuck it. I'm done. Asa, take us out. Fuck this. Fuck 2020. We'll go back to 2019.
You
turn
literally
off- you
said
turn
that
off your-
while you turned your mic off.
Fucking hate it.
All right. Well, for more of that positive, shiny outlook, Facebook.com/Podzilla1985. Podzilla1985.com. You can go back to the happier times. There weren't happy times. We were always angry.
Happy times.
Turn your fucking mic off.
No.
The Twitter.com/Podzilla1985 and Patreon.com/Podzilla1985. $1 gets you all of the pre-show, all of the pre-shows that we record, one per episode. And they're a lot of fun.
This one will be the free one.
Yeah, this is the free one of the month. You've heard. We should have plugged that earlier. Patreon.com/Podzilla1985. You get a free pre-show, a little taste.
And in case you didn't hear it, because some dickhead still has his mic off.
Yeah, the first pre-show of the month is free to give you a little taste. It's $1. You get every pre-show from every show, including tomorrow's super show, the Ghostbusters Space Wars Spectacular. I got Ghostbusters right, but I got Star Wars wrong because I was wanting to get both of them wrong.
Yeah. So the Starbusters.
I was gonna say it was gonna be the Spectre Stunners, the Spectre Stunners in Space Wars, Spectacular, featuring the return of Cody Sandusky, Double H. I'll be there for a little bit.
I should be there for a little bit. Maybe it depends if I.
Yeah, we'll talk about the new Star Wars movie. We're going to talk about the new Ghostbusters trailer, and just like the history of Ghostbusters, all of that, because there are some people in the Podzilla 1985 offices that care very, very deeply about Ghostbusters.
And then some of them haven't seen it.
and it's a
Cody.
good, and it's a good chance for them to be able to finally like get together and put on record their feelings of what Ghostbusters are. Also, cheap plug for me.
Now I'm on Allie's mic.
You can go to Podzilla1985.com and you can listen to the interview that Dalton and I did with Respawning Fire with Chad and Holden.
That was a lot of fun. I did
Those
like that.
it was a fun episode to do, and Chad and Holden are two really, really cool guys, and I very much look forward to doing more stuff with them next year. Me and Chad have been talking a little bit, and I say that like we have plans. We don't. It's literally just been like, hey, I hope we get to do stuff again this year. It's like, yeah, me too. That was a lot of fun.
We all own equipment. We can
Yeah, I
do it
know.
whenever.
My goal for 2020 is that we all
Is your mic
spend-
on?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's turned it back on.
My goal is that we all spend less time doing stuff with each other and more time doing stuff with outside people that we don't normally do things with.
Well, and there's stuff we want to do.
That's
with, like,
where it feels like we're heading.
There's stuff that we want to do with Josh from Press Start to Join.
Oh yeah,
he's
there's
talked to-
a
he's-
lot of fun stuff coming up. For
he
that,
He keeps
maybe.
texting me. I don't know if there are exchange
Oh,
rates.
your phone bill is gonna be.
Stupid.
That's a joke,
You're
right?
gonna have to pay in loonies.
Because he's texted me like twice, and every time he texts me, I get scared. I'm
like
like,
like on phone.
yeah, like text.
Oh, well,
Tell him you got Facebook.
you don't
Yeah,
like.
why
using
would he
them.
not message me? Oh god.
The,
oh my gosh.
So yeah, check that out. Tune in tomorrow for the Ghostbusters Star Wars
Ghost
talk.
Wars.
That one's gonna be the Ghost Wars.
Ghost Wars.
Starbusters,
That could be your finisher, Starbuster.
Starbust and Ghost Wars.
And also, don't forget, last thing, it's 2020. You know what that means? Krang, Neon Knight Riders.
Jesus Christ.
Big Apple, 3 a.m.